Atlanta Dragway, Top Fuel. The cars are already lit, and we are ready to race. 8,000 horsepower. There's been a little weather problem here. There may be more. We'll tell you more about that later. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Over the amazing career of John Force, there have been countless memorable occasions, as you could well imagine, for a man who's won 14 championships and no less than 125 national events. But today comes another milestone for John Force, as he becomes only the second person in NHRA history to compete in his 500th event. And should John happen to win this race today, he would achieve his 1,000th career round victory. Staggering numbers for the man who's become the face of NHRA drag racing. On the flip side of the nitro coin, over in Top Fuel, the man with a hot hand, Corey McLenithan.
Fresh off his victory at Las Vegas, Corey McLenithan is a new man, a renewed swagger helped by a competitive ride. McLenithan is once again a contender. His sights are set on ending the 4-year championship run of his teammate, Tony Schumacher. For Corey Mack, a run at a first career championship is within reach. So the first pair that we're going to see is Antron Brown and Dave Grubnick as we look at the Lucas Oil Top Fuel ladder. Got some great matchups coming. Larry Dixon, Bob Vandergrift, Hot Rod. How about Doug Coletta and Doug Herbert and Tony Schumacher and Morgan Lucas? First pair, Top Fuel. Score that one for Antron Brown. This guy is so good. He makes the transition from Pro Stock Motorcycle, goes to a win immediately, and look at him, he's still performing.
And what a great race that was. More than 2-hour rain delay here, the first pairs of cars down the racetrack. It's always sketchy when you're the first pair out, but after a 2-hour rain delay, you're wondering how that racetrack is? Well, they told you right there, side-by-side race, 458 to a 459. A fantastic job by the Safety Safari getting this track prepped.
And one of the big guys in Top Fuel right now is a very happy Corey McLenithan. Let's go to Dave Reef.
And that swagger continues as you take a look at the #1 qualified Top Fuel machine driven by Corey McLenithan. Now, if the past is any indication, that Corey Mack may be the one to beat today. After all, he was the last guy to qualify #1 and go on and win here in Atlanta. He did that back in 1995. Tack on 2 more wins, he's tied with Larry Dixon as the winningest Top Fueler here. Corey Mack just told me he hasn't felt this good about his situation, his car, and his crew since way back in 1998. Because of that, he hopes to go way deep into eliminations today and become Atlanta's winningest Top Fuel driver.
It's the NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series from Atlanta Dragway, and very soon it'll be the Full Throttle Drag Racing Series. We'll have more on that a little bit later. I'm Paul Page with Mike Dunn, Dave Reef, and Gary Gerald. As mentioned, we've had a bit of a rain delay here, but they've done a great job getting the track going. We still have some threats of weather, but the nice thing, when you only have to dry a quarter mile, you can do it pretty quickly, and Top Fuel is out.
Well, the key here, the bad news is the rain in the area, but the good news is you have that cloud cover. One of the reasons we saw the first pair go down the track and make some very nice runs.
Rick Stewart, the official starter, checks again the line. Here we go. Doug Coletta and Doug Herbert. You saw Coletta have a problem, and Herbert runs a 472 with a 306 miles an hour and takes the win.
Doug Coletta had problems as soon as he hit the throttle. That cylinder was out right at the hit. Take another look at it. It was on the other side, I believe, and took away some horsepower. Then it started eating the engine up just around half track. You see it push a head gasket out there. And let's take a look at Doug Herbert. Not a great run, but good enough to get him in the next round. He has all 8 cylinders lit off of the launch anyway. Gets it down through there at half track. Keeps it stuck right in the middle of the racetrack, and that's what you need to do to get the round win, and that's what Doug Herbert did.
So because it's going to be a key part of the competition here, let's look at the weather.
Air temperature 74 degrees, very comfortable. But the water grains per pound of air have gone up. Remember, when it gets over 100, it's a lot of moisture in the air, a lot of humidity. Track temperature 96 degrees, a lot cooler than we've seen in the past. So that's going to be a good thing for the drivers.
So we've got an interesting day ahead for us. I'm Paul Page, and Mike Dunn is alongside. Mike Dunn, who has won here in both Funny Car and Top Fuel. The Atlanta Dragway hasn't been that nice to a lot of other guys, I might point out. We mentioned Full Throttle, the Coca-Cola company that Powerade is one of their brands. Well, they are going to switch in 2009 to the Full Throttle series, the NHRA Full Throttle Drag Racing Series. And with that, they'll also extend the contract for 2 years, which is very important. It'll take it out to 2013, and that, I'm thinking, is great news.
Oh, absolutely, especially with this economy for Coca-Cola company like Full Throttle to take that commitment on and add another 2 years just makes a statement of how strong they believe that this series is. And you and I, we love NHRA drag racing, and the fact that Full Throttle is going to come on board next year and carry us through 2013 is great news for the racers. Talking about a lot more marketing, a lot more promotion, a lot more people are going to be able to have access to see what this is all about, bring them out to the racetrack, and enjoy what we see every weekend and what we love.
You can see there's Hillary Will and Alan Bradshaw. There'll be our next pair. We'll see them when we return. Stick with us. ESPN's presentation of the Summit Racing Equipment Southern Nationals is brought to you by Powerade. Sport is what you make it. By Summit Racing Equipment, the world's speed shop. And by Loctite Power Grab. Project solved. This telecast is also available on ESPN2 HD, presented by Olivia. Well, back at Atlanta Dragway, here comes Hillary Will and Alan Bradshaw. Let's go to Dave Reef, who is keeping track of a very happy Corey McClenathan.
As Corey McClenathan makes his way under the tower, I talked with him at great length this morning, and Corey told me the most confident he's been in the last 10 years. Corey, tell me about that confidence and why it exists right now.
Well, we have the right people, we have the right parts and pieces, and obviously we got the great sponsor with Fram. So, I mean, it just makes it, when this car goes A to B every time, it makes it that much easier for me to drive the race car and just worry about that.
That's exactly what Corey told me. In fact, he focuses on nothing but driving, trying to get his body, trying to get his mind healthy. He works a lot on hand-eye coordination by using those new PlayStation games. He says he's just loving it right now because it's just all about him and driving a car now.
There's Alan Bradshaw. He has yet to win a round of racing in his debut season for Dexter Tuttle. Hillary Will, well, she has the most points of the three Coletta Top Fuel cars. Whoa, look at Hillary fly. She drifts over to the right side, runs a 4:58, 317 to a losing 4:74, 319 for Bradshaw.
I'll tell you, Jim Oberhofer and that team are doing a great job with Hillary's car. They've given her a car that can win at any time, and right now with the track preparation, that was a very good run. If we take another look at it, right side of your screen, Alan Bradshaw, left side, got a pretty good jump, 0.04 of a second, but didn't have the horsepower. Looked like he might have been mixing them up a little bit out there, but Hillary was stuck in the middle of the lane up until she made the transition past half track. You see a black track out of the groove over towards the wall, caused her to be a little bit late on the chute because I'm sure she was trying to steer that thing back over. Probably had a cylinder out that kind of helped move that thing over. Let's take another look and see. Like we said, stuck right down the middle up till half track. After half track, made the transition, and then you did see a cylinder go out just before the finish that helped drive her towards that wall.
Top Fuel point standings right now. We'll show them to you. You can study them. And when we're talking about Hillary Will, let's remember Lori John, Shirley Muldowney, Lucille Lee, they've all won in Top Fuel here at Atlanta. Could this be a day for Hillary Will? She sits sixth in the points right now. So here is Larry Dixon, that onboard camera view, and it'll be Bob Vandergrift. It's his hometown race. He lives just down the road. and qualified 11th at Vegas and then fouled out in the first round. Larry Dixon, he's second in the points behind Tony Schumacher. And Gary Gerald has Hillary Will.
We jump in here with Hillary Will. The consistency of this car and this team. How much more confident are you in the 6th event of the season than you were when you started?
I got to be confident. I believe in my team, and I'm hopeful that good things are going to happen to us. And all I can do is believe. And, you know, there's a little bit of pressure. All the Coletta cars are out, and I want to do well for the whole team. Everybody's so supportive of me. And I guarantee when we get back to the pit, everybody from all 4 cars are going to be over helping us. And I just want to do well for everybody and for Summit. Technical, everybody's here at the Summit race, so I want to do well. Thanks.
Go get him.
Bob Vandergrift, there he is. He was 11th at Las Vegas, and then he fouled out in the first round. Larry Dixon also lost first round at Vegas after qualifying 15th.
Yeah, Larry Dixon never got down the racetrack, didn't make a 4-second run in Las Vegas, but they tested. They came here. The car looks much better. Crew Chief Donnie Bender's been getting this car down the track pretty consistently. Bob Vandergrift in the other lane is going to have his work cut out. He would love nothing better than to get his first career NHRA Wally here at his home track in Atlanta.
You see Larry Dixon have his problems. Backpedals it twice. Vandergrift wins it with a 5:06 with a 305 miles an hour after Dixon has his problems. And so for the second race in a row, that thing's still on fire. Larry Dixon is out in first round.
And that's a big surprise. Larry had a pretty consistent race car in qualifying. Went down the track on all 4 of his qualifying runs. Made good runs. Not great, but he was making good runs in qualifying. But the key was getting down the track, and so it was a little bit of a surprise. You see him go into that tire shake, and it drove it right up into tire smoke. Bob on the other lane, he was having his problems. It looked like it had a cylinder out and was mixing him up. Slowed him down to, oh, he actually had the back pedal, Bob did. And then when he did that, it put the cylinder out. But 5:06 was still good enough to get him in the second round. You'll take the win any way you can get him, Paul.
So Bob Vandergrift has won his second round of the season, albeit with a problem occurring there for Larry Dixon. Hey, take a look on the line. Coming up next, it will be Corey McClenathan. You heard Dave talk to him a few moments ago. Last driver to win Top Fuel here from the pole when he won in 1995. And in the other lane, Todd Payton, the former Top Alcohol Funny Car race winner, his second ever race start in Top Fuel. Corey McClenathan is 7th on the all-time Top Fuel wins list, but as you are about to learn, there is more to him than just racing.
Hi, I'm Corey McClenathan. I drive the Fram Top Fuel dragster. I live in Lake Havasu, but I grew up in Orange County, California. I've been racing since the early 80s, but when I turned 16, my first car was actually a 1960 VW. I get focused for a run, listen to my iPod, and it's usually Eminem. I first got hooked on drag racing when my dad used to take me to Orange County Raceway, and I was a little kid, and I'd be underneath the bleachers trying to pick up all the money that all the beer drinkers were dropping from the stands. The worst job I ever had definitely was when I was 16, digging ditches for trenches for homes, and by far probably the very hardest job I ever did. That and learning bottom end. No thank you. On my day off, my favorite thing to do are 2 things. Spend time with my daughter Courtney and go out on my Nordic coast. Some things a lot of people don't know about me is when I finally retire from drag racing, I want to have a farm, lots of animals, and about 20 dogs.
Well, Corey Mack and this track do get along. He's won here 3 times, tied with Dixon for the most Top Fuel wins here. And up at the top end, Gary Gerald has Bob Vandergrift.
Bob, it looked like, did you have to pedal it when it came off the line?
Yeah, it was unexpected. You know, the UPS team, we haven't had that problem this weekend, but the track's tight right now and it shook, and I had to whack the throttle. And I didn't see Larry, so that's the way on race day you got to leg it to the finish line. But UPS team, we've been struggling a little bit, but you know, we'll take it any way we can get it. We'll take those round wins.
Momentum, yeah.
Well, as everybody's watching this track, Rod Fuller just did a lane change. They'll be coming up in just a moment. He opted to move over and try the other lane. And There's quite a bit of conversation going on back in the pits about track prep and what it is for this weekend, because it seems to be a lot better than it has been. Dave Reef?
Well, as far as the track prep today, they actually say thanks to the cool conditions and the fact that we've got a little bit of rain on this. It's the best track conditions we've seen in the weekend. I just confirmed with Lee Beard. He said the exact same thing. Right now, it's very, very tight. The tricky spot's just that bump that's out there in the left lane at about 150 feet. Some porous asphalt out beyond that. So all the crew chiefs right now keeping their eye on the skies, as is the NHRA. I want to tell you one other thing. It's going to be exciting today. Normally a 75-minute turnaround. The NHRA has said it's going to be 65 or less. We got to keep this ship moving along.
So 65 minutes or less to turn the cars around between rounds. They want to get this show in today. They want the fans to have a good show. Look at Corey go. A 4:55 with a 6,318 low ET of the race thus far against a 5:52, 180 miles an hour. Corey Mack.
Wow, that was a good run. Mike Green, rolling it over there with Phil Schuler's going to be coming up with his driver, Jerry Tolliver, shortly. Let's take a look at Todd Payton. That picks the front end up on this run, but at this point, Corey was already ahead as he got the jump off of the starting line. Todd's kind of driving this thing around a little bit. Looks like he shut her off. Look at that head just bouncing forward as he sees Corey Mack. 3.5 for low ET of the meet, a 4:55. Not a surprise that we see low ET because the conditions are definitely right for it, but Corey's been doing that all weekend.
Let's go to Dave Reef. He's got Lee Beard.
Standing with his driver, Antron Brown. Of course, his son, Zach Beard, big karting guy. And guy who's also maybe going to do some top alcohol dragster driving. Got his license recently. But Lee, we saw you get down the racetrack really, really well. You just told me you thought it was the best out there. Are there any concerns with this racetrack right now?
No, I don't think so. I think the rain probably came in there and washed off any oil or debris that might have been on the track. And the NHRA has just done an excellent job with their prep. They're spraying a little bit more VHT on it here than they were maybe in the past. So I think right now the track's as good as it's been all weekend long.
That means we're going to see some more great ETs as Hot Rod Fuller gets ready to fire it up right now as we send it down to Gary Gerald.
With Corey McClenathan, who was so stellar through all 4 rounds of qualifying and then consistent in 55. How good's that in your mind?
Well, I say they weren't being shy, obviously. So Mike made a last-minute adjustment there. Obviously, he saw something out there that we, the other cars didn't see. But we saw the good 58s coming up. Mike go down 55. That's throwing down the gauntlet there. It's pretty much. But you don't take anybody for granted. Todd Payton, those guys did a great job in getting in this field. And on race day, it's anybody's game. We just hope it's this Fram Top Fuel dragster again.
Thank you.
Well, and the key there to what Corey said, you can't take anybody lightly, but the other thing is if you back it off too much, it goes into the tire shape because the track is so tight, and that drives you up into tire smoke. So you can't, it's hard to back it down to run a 465 when this track is that tight.
Here's a Valvoline garage tip. They've just pulled Bob Vandergrift back into the UPS pit. What's going on?
And remember, with 65 minutes, that's not a whole lot of time because you have to consider these teams are going to tear down the engine completely, change all 8 pistons. They're going to pull the clutch off of the back of the engine, put a new clutch back in. They have to fire it up, warm it up, make sure everything doesn't leak and all the settings are right, and then cool her down and go up and make that run, and they're going to do that all. And it's less than 65 minutes because that's the time it takes to get back from the run and then back up the starting line. They're going to do it in about 40 minutes. It's amazing to watch.
Of course, they're under a canopy, and they may have a little more time than the 65 minutes because on the starting line right now, they are reporting that it is raining. There is Rick Stewart, the official starter of the NHRA, and we've got a number of ways that he can check.
Good-sized raindrops, and they're coming down a little bit faster now. We're on hold.
That's kind of what we've had all day, just the bigger raindrop. It kind of just spitting a little bit, and every once in a while it comes down relatively hard, but not a soaking rain up to this point, other than once it started letting up this morning.
You saw Ron Fuller there, he all tucked in. Everybody's got the umbrellas up now. Terry McMillan, he'll come up alongside of Hot Rod Fuller. They're waiting, though. And down goes the canopy. He's all by himself in there. And Hot Rod, when you think about it, last year at this time, he came into the Atlanta race with a 2-round lead in the points. lost first round at the last 2 races, didn't have back-to-back first-round losses at any season last time, and so look at his numbers now.
Went from 10-4 in round wins to 4-5. Got a losing record up to this point, but I think crew chief Rob Flynn is starting to get a handle on that race car and get the consistency back that he enjoyed so much last year to get all of those round wins.
Well, there is Doug Herbert's car as they roll back to their pit area, and they'll take on the winner of the race between Rod Fuller and Terry McMillan. We want to remind you the NHRA travels on to St. Louis next for the O'Reilly Midwest Nationals. We'll have our usual lineup, 9 o'clock on Saturday. We'll have the qualifying. And then NHRA race day presented by Lucas Oil on Sunday. And then the finals will come at 7 o'clock on Sunday evening. Last year, Ron Capps won that race. He really needs a win now. Let's go back to the Herbert pits as they work away on that car. Seems like a great time for our Sounds of the Strip.
Coming down!
Hey, hold on 1 sec, Dave.
That's unbelievable. It's the only person who thinks I raise an account. Oh yeah, we figured out.
One-stop online store for NHRA fans.
Well, John Forrest gets the opportunity to warm it up. You saw every time he hit the throttle, it blow rain off of the canopy overhead. He can warm up now because he is the last pair in funny car when he comes up against his teammate, Mike Neff. You can bet in all those shots, everybody was checking to make sure that everything is good and tightened down. Why tighten down? Let's take you back to 1999. This is Kenny Bernstein.
This is what happened when you shear the wheel lugs off of the right rear tire with Kenny Bernstein. This was pretty scary at first. Luckily, his competition had smoked tires at the hit of the throttle, and he went across, going forward with it. Let's see this sliding, scary moment, but Kenny Bernstein got out there safe and sound.
Little rain delay right now. We hope it will go away, and we'll be back. For the moment, the rain has gone away. They've done a nice piece of work getting the track dry once again. Again, the good thing about drag racing, one more pass down there, and they think they're going to be ready to go with Rod Fuller and Terry McMillan. The finals are the Nationwide Series, of the NASCAR Nationwide Series, continues on Friday. That's in Richmond, Virginia, with the Lipton T250. See that accident that they had? Wow, they were like bowling pins all over the place.
Carl Edwards running the back of Kevin LePage after he drifted up the track. I don't know what Kevin was thinking, but man, that set off the big one there in Talladega yesterday.
They airlifted Dario Franchitti out of the track. Thought he broke his back, but the good news is he only broke a foot. Let's go to Dave Reef. He has a Valvoline garage tip.
Paul, as I stand here in Robert Height's pit and I watch every funny car that had left the staging lanes go right back up, I can see there's a thrash going on down here in Robert Height's pit. And suddenly I realized funny car hasn't even run yet. So I did some investigatory journalism here, if that's a word. Find out what these guys were doing and talk to Robert Height, and he said that Jimmy Prock said the weather conditions are changing so dramatically that at the very last second they decided they needed to change the compression in this engine. Well, that's simple enough to do as long as you can take off the supercharger, the valve covers, the cylinder head, and remove that gasket because it sits between the cylinder head and the block. And well, as we've got 10 pair of race cars to go until Robert Height is scheduled to be in the lanes, surprisingly, there's not a lot of excitement down here. These guys think they're going to make it in plenty of time, but I don't know about you guys. It's plenty of drama for me.
I wouldn't be sending my car to my local garage for that kind of work to be due by, say, June 6th.
I worked for crew chiefs before that changed head gaskets 3 times before we ever made a run. It doesn't keep the crew guys too happy when you do it that many times.
All right, Top Fuel, the first round continues. There's your track temperature for you. And you still see clouds overhead, but no rain at the moment. Hot Rod Fuller was on the pole here last year, but then he lost in the first round, then to Doug Coletta. Terry McMillan, well, of course, very little record on him. Second ever race of his career. John Smith is the crew chief. We've told you about this change in brands from the Coca-Cola Company. I'm going to make this the NHRA Full Throttle Drag Racing Series. Well, Dave Reeve caught up with Tom Compton, the president of the NHRA.
Tom Compton is the president of the National Hot Rod Association. And Tom, you guys just made a major announcement concerning our series sponsorship. Give me the details.
Yeah, we sure did, Dave. 6 years ago, we announced the NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series, partnering with Coca-Cola. 2005, we announced an extension through 2011. Today, we're announcing a 2-year extension through 2013. And beginning in 2009, we're going to change the series name to the NHRA Full Throttle Drag Racing Series. And as they say, it's go full throttle or go home.
Seems right to me. I'll go with that. Well, there's Rod Fuller, who, by the way, remember he had his Lamborghini burned to the ground. Says he hadn't got the check for it just yet.
That's always scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
But right now, Rod Fuller, he's just concentrating on getting that hot rod down the racetrack. And the conditions, as we saw, were very good for the first cars that went out. Now we've had a bit of a rain delay. Shouldn't affect them because we had the rain delay before the first pair went out. You remember, Antron went right down the racetrack with David Grubnick, a pair of 450s. They're hoping the same thing can happen here. Red light for Terry.
Well, you get a little anxious. Of course, you're new. as McMillan has the red light and Fuller runs the low elapsed time of the race of 4:54 at 323 miles an hour.
Very nice run by Rob Flynn and Hot Rod Fuller. That car was marching down that racetrack. Let me tell you, there's nothing wrong with that racetrack when you can run 277 miles per hour at the 8th mile. Remember, from a standing start, ladies and gentlemen, in just over 3 seconds, this car went from 0 to 277 miles per hour at the half track right there, and then finished it off on the other end and gets a nice win into the second round.
Hot Rod Fuller will move ahead then to the second round, and the next pair coming to the line will be Morgan Lucas and Tony Schumacher, the 250th race for the Sarge. And our stat guy, Lewis Bloom, is tracking Tony Schumacher.
Well, Tony Schumacher this weekend, his 250th race. He has won 17% of his previous starts. John Force, of course, his 500th race this weekend. He's won 25%, 1-4. That's pretty amazing. But how about Don Garlits? 117 races. He won 30% of the time. That's why Don Garlits is Big Daddy. That's why we love him, Mike.
Absolutely. Voted the greatest drag racer of the last 50 years, and that is why he is well-deserved. Just dominated back in the day when there weren't as many races. But right now, Tony Schumacher, I'll tell you, this car looks awfully good.
Look at the sticker on the side. They're celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Army Reserve. So happy anniversary to all 205,000 Army Reservists.
Absolutely. And right now, Tony's just focused on trying to get a win for all the men and women in the armed forces, all the armed forces for that matter. And he's one thing about Tony Schumacher, you know, he is focused. You can say a lot what you want about him. He always talks about being you got to be a machine. He usually is a machine. He's not the best lever out there, he'll tell you, but he is a good lever, and he's consistent. He usually does the same thing every time, and when you got Alan Johnson behind you giving that power, you will win a lot of races like they have.
It's a good race, but you see Morgan Lucas fades a little bit toward the end. Schumacher runs a 4:55 to 326 mile an hour pass. Morgan Lucas, he comes across with a 4:61.
Yeah, I'll tell you though, but Morgan gave him a heck of a race. He got a slight advantage off the starting line, about 0.6 of a second. Not much more than dead even, but the problem is about from 100 feet to about 400 feet, Morgan's car just did not pull like Tony's. Take another look at it. Right from about this point, they're dead even, and then there's the Army car. It starts making that move right there to half track, and then pretty much just held it all the way to the finish line for the win. Take a look at our Lucas Oil photo finish cam. Just a little more than half a car length for Tony Schumacher over Morgan Lucas.
We'll show you the elapsed times as they come down the track and tell you that now Tony Schumacher and Antron Brown are the two top fuel drivers who have not lost in first round all season. Schumacher will face Hillary Will when they come back to the line. Here is Brandon Bernstein and J.R. Todd. Gary Gerald?
With Hot Rod Fuller, you set through a little rain delay there. Is it hard not to get a little anxious?
You know, Gary, I'm a pretty hopped up guy, so you get all in there and excited, and then all of a sudden you got to jump out, and then you don't know when the rain's going to stop, and so it's hard to turn it off and on. And I've been through a lot of races, especially in my sportsman days, having to deal with this, so I think that helped. And you know, the main thing is keeping the groove. You know, when it's raining like this, it kind of washes everything away, so you got to be careful on keeping this thing right in the groove. And you know, we did, and got this car. It's been a couple of races since we've been in the second round, so we get this Caterpillar car and in the second round, and we're looking for good things today.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
Brandon Bernstein, the defending champion here. He won last year over Doug Herbert. That was the 600th race in Top Fuel history. Today, by the way, the 600th race in Pro Stock history. J.R. Todd, well, fourth time in 5 races that he's qualified in that position this year. 12th, that's weird. And no round wins this season.
That car has really struggled here this year, and he's still struggling coming into this round. Got a tall task in trying to get around Brandon Bernstein. Tim Richards seems to have a decent handle on the race car. His best run's a 460. They made 3 runs in the low 460 range. The key here is the track's a little tighter. If you go out there and try to just run a 460, it may want to shake the tires loose, so he may have to step it up and try to run make his best run.
Look at that. J.R. Todd comes off the whole shot, runs a 462 with a 4 at 322 miles an hour, and takes down the defending champion.
That is definitely an upset there, I'll tell you. Boy, what a drag race. Kenny Bernstein obviously dejected about that. You see, it was a whole shot win, but neither driver had very good reaction times. J.R. Todd was 107. Brandon was 113. I mean, that's almost pretty much dead even. Looked like Brandon was ahead just past half track, and then the cylinders went out, and when that happened, J.R. Todd was able to drive around them. Take another look at hikes the front end up there. Had just some decent numbers through the middle here. Brandon was a little bit better up until half track, and then Brandon was slightly ahead when his cylinders went out right about this point. And you look at J.R. Todd, he didn't have any cylinders out, and that's what won him the race. Look at that Lucas Oil photo finish cam. Just by a nose, J.R. Todd gets the win.
And that is our Motel 6. Who got the light? There's J.R. Todd rolling to a stop. Probably feels good that he won, but not so good. He beat his buddy. That's the way the game's played.
That's right.
And the top fuel ladder, the way it will set up. Look at that. Grubnick will face Brown. That's going to be big.
That's a huge matchup between Corey and Antron. A rematch of last week's final, or 2 weeks ago, final round in Vegas, and then Hot Rod Fuller going up against Doug Herbert, and Tony Schumacher taking on Hillary Will.
Funny car comes to the line right away. An eye still up to the sky. Tony Pedregon and Bob Tasca. Lucas Oil funny car ladder, and what we look forward to in the first round. Look at that. Mike Neff will face his boss, John Force. John Force in his 500th career race.
The other side will have some great matchups, including Robert Height and Ron Capps, and Del Worsham taking on Ashley Force. Right now we got Tony Pedregon against Bob Tasca on the starting line. So far, lane choice. Everybody in top field took that right-hand lane. It definitely seems to be the lane of choice. And remember, the conditions are much better than what we saw in qualifying, so we're going to have to watch that tire shake.
Tony Pedregon finds himself in trouble. He's one of our winners this season, but it won't be today.
Wow.
Bob Tasca takes the win, a 485, 305 miles an hour.
That was a bit of a surprise, but crew chief Chris Cunningham and his wife, Sheila, definitely liked what they saw right there. I mean, that was a good win. Tony Pedregon, he must have took a shot at the tree. He was 008. I don't know. That's usually just a bad job of red light where you just kind of guess and you hit it right. 0.8 of a second from perfect, 9,000 from red light. But what was surprising, Tony went down track and spun the tires, but his driver did not. It went right straight down the middle of the lane and runs a 485 and gets the win.
For Tasca, that is his third round win in his short funny car career. The previous two were over Melanie Troxel.
And Paul, as we look forward to funny car, it's been a big weekend for John Force Racing all along, led of course by the patriarch John Force. His daughter Ashley was the funny car point leader coming in. So much more going on. As you take a look at the champ, we will talk to him about the opportunity to reach 1,000 when we come back.
Back at Atlanta Dragway. Burnout just completed by the #1 qualifier, Tim Wilkerson. Gary Scelzi is in the other lane. Gary's only had 2 rounds of racing and victory this season, while Tim, he's coming off of his first win in 82 races. We go to Gary Gerald.
Well, J.R. Todd by the length, virtually this microphone. You get the first round win of the year. How big of a sense of relief is that?
You don't even know, Gary. I mean, we've been trying and trying all year long, and you know it's going to come in sooner or later, but you know, you're racing your best friend, Brandon Bernstein, first round. They're tough. I mean, that's one of the baddest cars out here. And I could hear him the whole way down the track. I thought he was going to get me there in the lights. And to get him on the whole shot, I mean, that can go either way when it's that close. But I'm just glad we finally got this thing turned around. It seems like we're going in the right direction. Both cars are running pretty close. And John Stewart, crew chief, he's doing a hell of a job. He's pretty stressed out running both cars right now. But we'll get it together, go back, put some Lucas oil on that bad boy, use those Mac tools, and come back for round 2.
Quick turnaround. Go do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, how'd you like to be Tim Wilkerson? You qualify number 1, and then you get a 4-time Powerade champion alongside you in the first round in the person of Gary Scelzi.
Just doesn't seem fair, Paul.
Well, none of it's fair. Let's go race it. Scelzi lights the tires. Tim Wilkerson's got a clean run. Runs a 488, 317 miles an hour. That's Gary Scelzi's radio. Don Schumacher walks away.
I tell you, I'm a little bit surprised. Not so much that Gary spun the tires, because they have been struggling all year, obviously being in that number 16 spot and not only having 2-round wins. A little bit surprised that Tim Wilkerson didn't run better. Now, based on what we saw in Top Fuel, we saw Top Fuel run the quickest runs of eliminations in the first round. So by that means, Tim Wilkerson's got the best run this weekend, a 477, as you watch Gary Scelzi there shake the tires and then drive up into tire smoke. Tries to backpedal, but at that point, Tim Wilkerson, even though he was a little bit soft, ran a 488. It was more than enough to get around Gary Scelzi.
Let's go to Dave Reef. He's got an update.
You bet, an update on Robert Hight with 5 pair to spare. The car has just made its way into the lanes as you watch Robert Hight getting ready, putting on all of his safety equipment. Now, the one thing that is interesting, Mike, is the fact that these guys weren't able to restart this car. But keep in mind, these guys are professionals. John Force Racing, they've been doing it for a number of years. So Robert says he has no concerns about whether this car will move down the racetrack. Gary Gerald?
Well, the vest and the gloves and the harness that come off, the helmet is the last to go. And Tim Wilkerson, who 3 times this year is a number 1 qualifier, first couple of times it didn't work out so well as he lost in the first round. That wasn't the case, of course, however, when he qualified second at Las Vegas, got the win. Here you are with an 88. How good in your mind was that run?
Well, that wasn't what I wanted, I tell you that. I was figuring Scelzi was going to hand me an 82 or 3. I was trying to go faster than that, but I stuck it in a little deeper than I wanted to. I sure don't want to lose lane choice to this place, because I think that left lane's a little treacherous. But hey, for Levi and Schaup and Summit, especially Versailles Yacht Service, we're trying to do the best we can do for this weekend, and sure would be cool to leave here with the points lead. Thanks.
This is the man who told me earlier this weekend, our main focus this weekend, Paul, is not to lose focus.
Well, so far, he's staying right on it. Number 1 qualifier, wins in first round. Back at the line, they put the lid down on Jim Head's car. Only current Nitro driver to have raced here at the first Atlanta National event, and still competing, though. He keeps saying that he'd like to get a good new young driver in that car and just tune the car for him. Tony Bartone, he's in the other lane. That beautiful car that's got the new sponsor on board. He's coming off of his 3rd DNQ of the season at Las Vegas. Oh, now we got a pedal fest. Going to be won by Jim Head.
Wow. A little bit of a surprise. I think Jim Head actually got a little bit surprised by that one, too. We can take another look at it, because, I mean, basically what happened, Head smokes the tires and figures it's pretty much done. And the reason he did that, he thought, well, okay, right here, smokes tires, it's done. I'm going to stay out of throttle. Then he sees Tony Bartone having the problems, and he rolls back in the throttle. Now, the key here is, the longer you stay out of the throttle, the more chance you have of the car recovering. Now, the track's tight here. I don't think you have to stay out of the throttle quite as long as Jim Head did, but it definitely didn't hurt him, and as a result, he gets the win there. Taking a look at Bartone, it looked like he had this race won early, and it's a tough break because he ran very well in qualifying. They didn't even run yesterday because they went 490 in the heat, and they came back and ran 482, got him in the number 3 qualifying position. But boy, just when they tried to apply the clutch and power before half track, it just got loose, and at that point it backfired when Tony tried to get it to recover, and Jim Head streaked away for the win.
And so Jim Head moves forward. Coming up is John Force. Dave Reef?
John Force quietly walking, collecting his thoughts as we've got the 500th race of his career checked off. Now, John, we got to start thinking about your 1,000th round win. Before we do that, though, got to go 997. You've been a myriad of emotions all weekend long. How you feeling today?
I feel great. It's exciting just to make the show with this number put on the board. But at the end of the day, I've got a car to beat, and it's my own car, Mike Neff and Old Spice Mustang. I got to get this hot rod down the racetrack, or none of it really matters. So, you know, AAA, Mac Dual Brand Source, Castrol, these people pay big money for me to win, and they want to beat that car. I love him, but my job's to win. That's what I'm going to try to do, and that's what he's going to try to do.
A lot of people on NHRA today this morning saw John Force, Ashley Force join us, Mike Dunn and myself on the set. Very, very much behind this man. Love to see him get that 1,000th round win. Nobody's done that in NHRA history. Love to see him do it here today.
Yeah, he could do it with a race win here today. And if he does that, he'll have his 500th career race and his 1,000th round win. The Geico one to watch. That's John Force. Look at all these categories that he is tops in.
Yeah, there's 4 of them right there. 125 wins. Tony Pedregon's next closest at 37. How about 131 to 50 for number 1 qualifiers over Don Perdome and the late great Al Hoffman qualifying streak. 395 that ended last year. Al Hoffman was second at 116. And obviously championship, John Force with 14. Don Perdome and Kenny Bernstein are tied with 4.
And John Force is also the subject of our Powerade Power Time. So we take you back to the starting line and our next pair, Jack Beckman and Gary Densham. Winner of this will face Bob Tasca when they go to round 2.
Gary Densham there on the starting line. Remember, they weren't even thinking about coming here after Las Vegas. They're kind of race to race. And Gary Densham, though, I mean, this guy's epitome of a diehard drag racer. If he's got a nickel in his pocket and it's enough to get him to the racetrack, trust me, he's getting to the racetrack. Probably a good thing because he ran very well. Your number 4 qualifier with a great 484 laps time gives him lane choice against that man, Jack Beckman. But I talked with Tommy Delago last night, and he told me that they kind of found some things in that last qualifying run. They ran a 490 flat. They just felt that they weren't making enough horsepower, that they just have to step it up. He is, like he said, you know, we know we need to make more power, but now once you find the power, you don't want the clutch application to be too aggressive. That's what they're going to look at right now to try to get that car down the track.
Beckman won at Phoenix. And Beckman lights the tires, and look at that little fire under Densham's car.
Densham lights it up, but he gets the win.
492 with an 307 miles an hour.
Yeah, it looks like he just broke a header down. It had a little header dragging, and that's no harm, no foul. Take another look at it. That what we talked about, left side of your screen. Now, and Tommy knew this. You know, you make more power, you got to be careful because then it wants to work make the clutch work more too, because the engine will work the clutch, and then you have a tendency to smoke the tires. And then sometimes when you find the power, you have to make that a clutch adjustment, and that's just a learning curve. But Marty the Party, he loves his man Gary Densham going into the next round.
And Marty was about to lose his watch there too. Plenty more funny car yet to come. And included in the list beyond John is Ashley Force. Came here as the first ever points leader as a female in funny car. NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series. There goes Bob Tasca's car back to their pit. They'll fall on that and get to work because in round 2 they will face Gary Densham. And Densham, I got to tell you, he is just absolutely loving this weekend. He's still giving it all he can.
Look at Gary Densham. He's fired up all these years, and he's still like a school kid.
And on the line, the Rockstar car. That is Jerry Tolliver. Cruz Pedregon will be on the other side. But as we're looking at Tolliver, remind you he has not won a round of racing this season. And Cruz, well, he's looking good too. Only funny car driver to start every race with lane choice in the first round this season.
And he's taking that right-hand lane. Crew Chief Ron Tolber says, hey, everybody else is doing it. Not that you can't have problems in this lane, because you can, but you look at Cruz's round record this year, 6-5, position is third. He's been qualifying very well. Ron Tobler's been giving him a consistent race car up until the last 2 races. They struggled in qualifying in Vegas, went out first round. They qualified number 2 here, but they struggled yesterday getting down the track. The good news, the conditions are very similar to what we saw Friday evening when they ran that 481 to get him in the number 2 position. So I imagine the tune-up's pretty close to that right now.
Well, a little pedaling there as well, but Cruz finally wins out with a 5:57, 244.
Nice job by Cruz. Him and his brother must have had Wheaties for breakfast or something this morning. He had an 0:16 reaction time. Either they're really good or they're just really bad at red light. I haven't figured that out yet. But Cruz, forget about the light. Cruz did a good job of backpedaling. Take a look at Jerry Tolliver. He's going to go out there and spin the tires. Cruz is having pretty much the same problem in the other lane. Only thing is Cruz was able to get his to recover a little bit. You saw Jerry looked like he got on the throttles. That car wasn't quite squared up. That's the key. Once this thing smokes the tires, you have to stay out of the throttle long enough, even in good conditions. You see the smoke go over there. Now he hits it and it's going sideways. Well, look what happened. It spun the tires. Then he gets it squared up, and then he feathers the throttle, and guess what? It hooks up, and he gets the win, shutting it off just before the finish line. Probably lost a belt or something at that point, but a good job on that second pedal job, and that's how you do it.
Nice drive for the 92 Powerade. Funny.
You heard the RPM there when he rolled back into the throttle. That was perfect. That was textbook pedal job, and even though it got a little bit loose down track, still got him to win.
Here is Ashley Forrest. She'll face Del Worsham. And we had Dean Antonelli, Guido Antonelli, they call him. Her crew chief wired up yesterday.
You guys go over everything? All the nuts, lube in her.
We shook it when I was on the stand. We shook it real hard.
You got the shake out of it? All right.
It had good bounce too.
Real good bounce when you stood on the headers. So the car's lively this weekend?
Yes, sir.
What lane are we in?
The right or the left, we're not sure.
One of them. Alex, you set the wobbleator bushing? Okay. That's one we had a long time ago. Usually a new guy, you'll tell him, hey, grab me the wobbleator bushing or something. My headphones locked. Anybody seen my headphones? All right. See you guys up there.
Bye. Wobbleator bushing. I thought I had one of those go out when I was mountain biking the other. You mean those things don't exist?
Well, it's our CSK Tractionary, and there's the definition, Mike.
Yeah, nonsensical term to fool a crew member and or a knowledgeable television announcer or former drivers, because we know drivers don't know anything.
I've changed 6 of them. I'm buying the really high engines, too. I don't know why they're breaking. All right, as we watch Ashley Forrest, here are the female points leaders throughout the history of the sport.
Got a single. Ashley, we have a single.
Hey guys, Del Worsham's got a problem. They shut him down. He is not going to be able to make this run. Chuck is not happy.
Wow, that is a tough break because, you know, I mean, they won down in Houston, but other than that, they've really struggled this year, and you hate to see that happen because Del, in these kind of conditions, you know he can go up there and win a race. So right now, I mean, Ashley Forrest is going to take it down as far as she can to try to get lane choice, but if anything happens, she'll lift.
487, 311.
We need to look at that. This oil? Yeah, okay. They just poured oil right down the center. Like right in the groove.
Oh man, pretty big oil here.
You hear them talking about, they're talking about the right lane, which has obviously been the lane of choice up to this point.
But it was stretched out a little bit where the bump was.
So, Dave Reef, you've been watching Worsham as they pulled away.
Well, the reason there's oil on the racetrack that was so duly noted by the John Force Racing Camp is because we believe some valve covers were left loose for Del Worsham. So that's a pretty tough break.
Wonder Chuck was mad.
And that's not having a good effect on the start line either on what has been the lane of choice. Let's go to top end. Gary Gerald has Ashley Force.
Ashley, does your focus change whatsoever when you end up at the last second getting a solo run? Because you got that distraction of the guys on the radio telling you one thing or another. We heard them feeding you the information.
Yeah, but I always have the last person I talk to always is Guido. And so I knew from him, you know, what he wanted to get across to me, that I had a single. I knew that. I don't know what happened to Worsham. That's never how the fans want to see a drag race, but we'll take a win any way we can get. The one thing, though, that is common is I know all the rules from the rule book, but when you get in that situation, your mind starts thinking, wait, can I still lose if I red light, if I cross the center? So you want to be real careful just to get down your lane. And thankfully for Team Castro and Ford and AAA, we did get down our lane. Guido and Ron should be happy, and the guys are happy. We'll go back, work on this Mustang, and come back for second.
Thanks.
After two more pair of funny cars, a very historic round number one of Pro Stock as we've reached the 600th race in this class's history with the 6 different number one to start the season. That's never happened. Plus the racing return of a pretty racy guy, a championship contender. This Dave will talk to that Dave, plus round one of Pro Stock when we come back to Atlanta.
And back at Atlanta Dragway, the long loop all the way down to the start line for race 6 at 24. This is the Summit Racing Equipment Southern Nationals, and the series just rolls right on. Next week, it'll be St. Louis for the O'Reilly Midwest Nationals, qualifying on Saturday. NHRA Race Day presented by Lucas Oil with the shenanigans of Mike Dunn and Dave Reef at 11 o'clock in the morning, and then the finals at 7 p.m. That's where Matt Smith set a record of 690. So let's take a look at how it's gone so far with wins by lane, because it's going to become kind of important here in just a moment.
Well, and so far every team that's had lane choice has taken that right-hand lane. Robert Hyde has decided, since that oil down by Del Worsham, that he's going to move over in the left-hand lane. And I think it's a good move. I mean, Ashley Force ran a 487. He knows what kind of tune-up they have on that car, so Jimmy Prock feels confident anyway that that lane will hold what he's trying to give it. Hopefully he hits the combination right.
Dave Reef, you're down there watching.
Yeah, I actually talked to Hopsing, that's Eric Lane, who's Jimmy Prock's right-hand man, about the lane choice, and he pointed out some of the same things that Mike was speaking of, but specifically it was where that oil was located over in that right-hand lane. They felt it was in the left-hand tire track, right where they were intending on running that race car. So based on that and the fact that they saw their teammate Ashley Force get down that left-hand lane just a little bit ago, they feel very confident and very comfortable moving over into that left lane.
So when we're ready to get moving here, it'll be Robert Hyde taking on Ron Capps. John Force Racing thus far this season. Of course, at the Winter Nationals, Robert Hyde started it all out with a win.
You look at the round wins there, 10-4 for Ashley Force. Obviously has the best round record. That's why she was leading the points coming in here. Mike Neff, the only team member to not DNQ this season, but he's also the only one that does not have a round win, and to get one today, his first one anyway, he's going to have to beat the boss, John.
And you would have to do it on John's 500th career race, and in doing so, take away the possibility that he wins his 1,000th round this weekend. Get it, Mike Neff? Be careful. Think about it. Ashley Force watching Robert Hyde as they bring the car up to power. So what does a pro racer do when they have a weekend off from competition? Well, if you're Robert Hyde and the Team Force gang, you go racing. They headed out to the Miller Motorsports Park in Utah and got a little time there in the Ford High Performance Driving School. That was Ashley, Mike Neff, and Robert Hyde. They all buckled in and learned how to turn left and right, do it skillfully, and do it fast. And like most good race drivers, the skills they learn on the strip translate just fine. They've got the same hand-eye coordination. And they even got a little time in a place that can be really challenging, and that's on the skid pad. Look at that. I love it when you get to mess around on the skid pad there, and they had a great time, obviously. So, Robert Height, every start that he's made here at Atlanta, he's qualified no lower than 7th and has been to the final round. Ron Capps, last year coming into the Atlanta race, he had over a 4-round lead in the points, and yet he doesn't yet have a championship. Robert's in trouble. Ron Capps takes the win, a 487, 313 miles an hour.
Hit the bump and smoke the tire. Want to switch him back? He's got lane choice.
Well, you hear the conversation on the Force Racing radio because now they're wondering what they're going to do for the next round.
Let's take another look at Robert here as he launches off the starting line. The back end kind of washes just a little bit. As soon as he hit that transition bump at 150 feet, it rattled the tires, lost that contact area, and went up in smoke. You could almost say that that left lane caused that thing to smoke the tires. We'll have to go back and look at the data to know for sure, but the end result is the same. Ron Capps goes into the next round.
So they didn't show confidence in the right lane and switched, and Ron Capps, though, ends up taking the win and will move into second round. And he'll face Cruz Pedregon when they come back. John Forrest keeps that right lane as he's ready to face Mike Neff. And John Forrest is the subject of our Powerade Power Time as we look at a life of achievement. John Forrest holds just about every record in the funny car class and is on the verge of reaching another milestone, his 1,000th round win. In this Powerade Power Time, Forrest talks about his achievements, the people who helped him earn his success, and about how he remains so humble when he has achieved so much.
I grew up in a little trailer house with 5 brothers and sisters, and you know, my mom was a cook at Denny's. She taught me how to fry cook. My dad was a truck driver, so it only made sense that I would evolve to being a cook or a truck driver. I lived in a trailer court, in a little trailer house, and everything you got was passed down from your older brothers. And if it fit, you wore it, and if it didn't fit, you still wore it.
It's hard to even fathom what he's accomplished from what he started with. That's the biggest thing, I think, is from where he came from to get to where he's at. You know, no one gave him anything along the way.
I was good at picking the right people at the right time. Coyle was winning championships, but he was out of sponsor money. And I was able to find a little. And together we raced for 4 years. He was teaching me, and I was teaching him, and we were trying to build a team. And out of that came, you know, a car that was untouchable.
The thing is we need each other. I don't know anything about raising money, and John doesn't know anything about how to tune a race car. So together we managed to cover all the bases and get the job done.
I can't imagine my dad working with any other crew chief, and I can't imagine Austin with any other driver. It just works right with them. It's strange, but it works, and magic happens from it.
The biggest achievement, the one I sweated the most, was 10 straight. And I'll never forget it. We were right down to the wire that season, and I was sweating. Are we going to make it, Coyle? He goes, John, it's a championship. We win, we lose. I said, no, it's 10 straight.
I take a little leisurely walk through the shop and point out all the things, the trophies and the collectibles to friends of mine. It kind of takes you back through memory lane to say, wow, this has really been quite a run.
At the end of your career, I guess with all the trophies and all the wins, and my 10 straight, I guess out of this, if I could be loved by the fans the most, that would be my biggest accomplishment. And I got a pretty good head start on everybody because they do love me. And I get them every now and then that beat me up. You know, I get some fan that's irate that loves Ron Capps or Gary Selzy, and they want to beat me up and tell me how dumb I am or how stupid I am. Or I tell them I still love you because the fans are why we're here. Without the fans, we don't race. It's that simple. So why wouldn't you love them the most?
So this could be the start of a great moment almost any way you look at it. For John Force, another round win, inching him closer to 1,000. It would be his 997th. For Mike Neff, the first in his funny car career.
Well, you know, Paul, I want to bring up the fact that Robert Hight, you know, when that thing spun the tires. Now, the reason most of the teams have not been choosing that left-hand lane is because of that bump at the transition at 150 feet. Remember, they have new concrete up to 150 feet, and then it's the old concrete to half track, and then they put new asphalt. They did a good job, except for that bump at that transition left lane. And what you want to do as a driver, when you traverse over that bump, you want to have the car squared up as much as possible. You saw Robert, the back end just sashaying a little bit, and when it hit the bump, it upset the car. Now, that's not to say it wouldn't have smoked the tires if he'd been squared up, but there would have been less of a chance of it doing it had that been the case.
John Medlin, the crew chief for Mike Neff, says that he is ready to go. Ashley Forrest watches on. Austin Coyle's already said that John's ready. Like the bump got another one. John Force, 997 round wins and counting.
Wow, quickest run of the round. Austin Coyle burned Federle. After struggling on Friday, they found some problems. They blamed their driver, saying he was getting too much heat in the clutch, which John did take the blame for that, and he changed his driving style as far as doing the burnout to get less heat in the clutch, which tends to make it lock up less because they were smoking the tires. And guess what? Since he's been doing that, they've been going down the track every time. Mike Neff went up and smoked about the same place Robert Hight did, and then John Force never looked back. Let's see if we can see it. You can pretty much see the transition right there. That's at the new concrete. Hits that spot, gets a little bit of bouncing, and then shortly after that goes up into tire smoke. Could have been a situation where the bump caused that, but like I said, they'll have to go back and look at the data, compare the video, and make a determination. But the end result's the same. John Force is in the next round.
Gary Gerald has Ron Capps.
Capsy, there's all of that decision going on in the opposite lane about what lane Robert Hight was going to end up taking. What's it like for you while you're waiting for it to play out?
Well, that's the bad part about having radios. They switched lanes on us. Robert did, and I would have as well. But with the oil that Dale had put down backing up, they were missing some spots of oil out there. So my guys on the radio saying they need to come out here. They're just dragging over the oil. And Safety Safari's done. Let me tell you, took a lot of heat over the last few weeks. And Dan Olson, my hat is off to him. If I can take it off right now, I'm going to, because him and the Safety Safari, the fans know. They know at home watching this race how good the racing is now. And track prep is back to where it used to be, and they've done a heck of a job. And I was just real worried, and so that was a huge win. Anytime you race Robert and that Force team, I know it's the John Force show with his 100,000th round win or whatever it is, and he's the reason I came to Funny Car. I want to tell you.
Thank God it ain't a beauty show. He'd win that too.
Love you, man. We love you.
Oh, we're still in there, right down that old junk lane. We thought wasn't too bad.
So what was it like? You watched Robert in his struggles after they changed lanes. We heard you on the radio talking about, do we want to change again?
Well, the guys were really going over it. They didn't think they were cleaning it up. They kept yelling back over, there's still stuff in this lane. And at the last minute, they said, let Capps have it, put him over there. And Robert went to what we thought was a better lane, even though we know the bumps out there, it's going to get you in trouble. And you got to get over that bump, and it's tough. Jimmy makes big horsepower. And then when he smoked the tires, I figured Neff and them would switch me back. I even said, okay, guys, roll it. And Coyle said, wait a minute, they don't want to switch. So maybe they didn't want to run it off based on what he did. They still thought it was bad. But I ain't know. That's why I ain't a crew chief. I'm just surprised when Capps run a number that good that they didn't switch. But they have their reasons. They know their hot rods, and I don't.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Let's take a look then at the Lucas Oil Funny Car ladder, and there's some real possibilities here. John will have to take on the number one qualifier when they come back for round two, Gary Denson and Bob Tasca. But take a look on this side, and look where Ashley Force is
Going up against Jim Hedge. He's on the other side of the ladder. Could be a possible matchup in the final round against father and daughter. Will it happen?
Well, already Ashley Force and her crew are heading back into the pits. They've got their work cut out for them to face Jim Head. But as you pointed out, Mike, wow, would that be something? What would the decision-making be if Ashley faces her father when they get down further down the ladder? Dave Conley, Pro Stock, it's their 600th race, and Dave Conley is back. The guy who won 8 races last year and 5 in a row. There's still so much more to come from here at Atlanta. The NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series, soon to be starting 2009, the NHRA Full Throttle Drag Racing Series. The Summit Racing Equipment Nationals, Atlanta Dragway. And as John Force heads back, he's going to have a big matchup coming. It's Pro Stock that will come to the line, and here is the Lucas Oil Pro Stock ladder.
Some great matchups, including Jed Coughlin and Warren Johnson. 9 championships between the two, going head-to-head right out of the box.
9 championships and 135 race wins. Wow.
On the other side, Warren's son, Kurt Johnson's going up against Dave Connolly. That's going to be another great matchup.
Greg Anderson and B. Gaines. There's Grumpy Jenkins, who was inducted into the International Motorsport Hall of Fame this week down in Talladega, Alabama. That is always just a magnificent ceremony, and it's great to have another drag racer in there. Well, the crowd begins to cheer. Here comes Jed Coughlin. He won here in 2000 over Greg Allen. Over Bruce Allen, that would be. He'll face Warren Johnson. Last week, Team Jegs hosted their annual outing at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Jeg and Troy were joined by top fuel drivers Corey Mack, J.R. Todd, and some members of the media. Did you get the invitation?
No, I didn't.
The group made 40 laps around the 2.4-mile road course. That's a lot of turning for a bunch of drag racers, but we have no report of any insurance claims, and the hospital ERs were all fine, so I'm guessing they had just one great time. You didn't get an invitation?
And that's probably why.
You think so?
I would have tore that thing up. They seen my video.
So there is Jag, and to reiterate, one here in 2000 over Bruce Allen.
To the right. Good. Straight on up. A little right. Good.
Big major improvement over last year. So you take a look at that.
He's 11-4 versus 7-5 at this time last year, but even Warren's better, which isn't a surprise. I'm surprised he's not even more better than that, because he has been running big time speed. He has top speed of the meet here, even though he's only qualified in that number 9 position and does not have lane choice against Jag.
All right, try and figure this one out.
Okay, Jaggy, foot, and it's all
Jag
yours.
has beat Warren Johnson last 5 times they have raced. Warren Johnson has not lost in first round this season.
I'll tell you, Warren, like I said, Warren's got the horsepower. He just has to get the setup. If he can do that, get off the line, just, hopefully even with Jag, and then hits the setup, he can definitely drive around him on the other end with that big speed.
First pair in Pro Stock, round 1.
Good job. There was a little loose down track for some reason about right after I put it in 5th gear, hit a little bump and moved around, but I don't know if that's come on Dave, Okay, thank you.
You saw Warren Johnson was just a little bit late. The 666 with an 8 gives the win to Jag Coughlin.
He was only about 100th behind Jag. That isn't bad with the horsepower he's making, but look what happened here. This car was all over the racetrack. Warren was doing his job trying to keep that thing straight. Saw the tire shake at that transition at 150, and then look at the back end, just starts sliding around, especially after it gets past half track. That thing, he's got his hand full at that point. You don't want the Pro Stock car to move around much more than that. Let's look at Jag to see how much he's working the wheel here. Had to work it off the starting line a little bit. Yep, he is working it down track just a little bit more than normal.
And you know, too, they got that new net in the car. They're the only Pro Stock car that runs it. That's a la NASCAR. Another safety issue. These are points current to the moment, remembering that points aren't awarded until after the event is done. But Jag just went around Jason Line.
Yeah, but we've yet to see Jason Line run. He is your most recent winner from Las Vegas, and he has a very good race car right now, so things are going to change.
Well, the fact is, the testimonial on how tight these guys are, both on the track and in the points, as Jason Line looks on. It's going to be Greg Anderson. There he is, the defending champ at Atlanta. He is 16-2 career racing that man. V. Gaines, the Phoenix winner.
Didn't he take out Greg Anderson in Phoenix, if I remember correctly?
I'm thinking round 2.
Yep.
Well, give that one to Greg Anderson, a 670 with an 8,205 miles an hour.
Yeah, definitely looked like V. Gaines had some problems down track. Got the advantage off the starting line by about 1.5 hundredths, 15 thousandths of a second. Decent starting line advantage, but then he had troubles down track, and Greg was able to go around and get the win. Take another look at it. You saw Greg, it sounded like somebody spun the tires pretty hard. Greg did move over towards the wall, now the groove just a little bit, and then he reeled it back in before V. Gaines had some problems down track, and Greg got the win.
Well, is there a neater, tighter little track on the NASCAR circuit than Richmond? Find it for me. That's where the NASCAR Nationwide Series continues on Friday with the Lipton T250. Coverage begins with a NASCAR countdown at 7 p.m. You get dizzy driving that one. You're just constantly hurt.
How you dizzy just watching?
Well, that's not.
I'm a drag racer.
I was going to say your dizziness is an ongoing thing. Finally, here he is, first appearance this season. Dave Conley won here in 2006 over Greg Stanfield. That's a Cagnazzi car. It's identical to the one that Jeg has, but it's brand new. In the other lane, it'll be Kurt Johnson. His first time in the bottom half of the field this season. He won here in '96 over Jim Yates. He's not won a race in over a year.
How about Dave Conley? Your first race back, you qualify well, you're in the number 6 position, and you have to run Kurt Johnson. Like you said, he knows, Dave Conley knows that Kurt's been running very well all year long. He knows that he's going to be tough to beat. Dave's going to have to do the job. He's going to have to stay focused, and we saw him do it a number of times last year. It's not that, like this kid can't do it, and I don't think he's going to be rusty at all. He's been out there running in super gas, super stock, whatever he can just to kind of stay sharp. Right now, it looks like we may have a little bit of a staging duel as chief starter there, Rick Stewart, just kind of doing a little dance saying, come on, boys, let's race.
Dave Conley's radio is turned on. Oh, well, Kurt Johnson takes that win. A good run. 667 with a 3.2.
That's all right, buddy. Good job, man. Done the best we could. He just outrun us.
See, and that was the key coming up against Kurt Johnson. You know he can step up, and what does Kurt do? He makes his best run of the week, and that's 667 in the left lane. Probably is going to end up being a pretty good run for the conditions in that lane with that bump and so forth, and just Dave Conley was on the wrong end of that, unfortunately.
Well, let's go to Gary Gerald.
With Greg Anderson, who put a 670 on the board, but it looked like, I had the feeling you had your hands full. Was that the case?
Yeah, I did, Gary. It was actually a pretty decent run the first part of the track, but by the time we got about to 4th gear, which is about 330, man, it's like you went on a banana peel out there. It was all over the racetrack. I didn't know what was going on out there. I just tried to keep her in my lane, and hopefully the scoreboard come up. And V was either alongside of me or a little ahead of me at the same time. Looked like he fell about the same place, so I think he must have had the same issue, but must be something still on the racetrack. But hey, we got that round wind, and that's big for Summit out here right now. Summit race, ain't no place I'd rather win than in front of my hometown sponsor. They're great guys.
It's not raining.
It's not raining.
And back at the starting line, you're looking at Dave Northrup getting set for his first round matchup with Mike Edwards. Of course, Dave Northrup's engine builder, Grumpy Jenkins. That's Bill Grumpy Jenkins, the man who won the very first ever pro stock race way back when. In fact, recently he was honored in Talladega as a recipient into the International Motorsports Hall of Fame. So Another great kudo for a drag racer here in Talladega. Grumpy's got his guy Dave Northrup on the line trying to punch out competition.
At first ever race in 1970. We are now on Pro Stock race number 600, and those Grumpy Jenkins motors have made a lot of history in their ride, too. Edwards all the way, 665, 206 to a losing 673, 204 miles an hour.
Wow, what a great race or great run by Mike Edwards. I'll tell you, 665, low elapsed time of the round.
And that was on Friday when they brought Grumpy Jenkins down the face of the grandstand, and he got to acknowledge the crowd as they were honoring him for his induction into the International Motorsport Hall of Fame. Little timeline. Go back to 1970 Pomona.
That was the first race when Bill Grumpy Jenkins defeated the late, great Ronnie Sox in the final round. In 1981 Montreal, the 100th race, also the late, great Lee Shepard defeated Bob Glidden. The 300th race, Jim Yates defeated Mark Osborne, 722 ET. You see, they keep running quicker and quicker. By the time we got to the 500th race in Dallas, Greg Anderson defeated Jed Kaufman with a 680. And our most recent winner, Jason Line, defeated Greg Stanfield. Only a 678, but they've run as quick as 650 in the good conditions in Richmond.
And number 600 is still a question mark. We'll determine that at the end of this event. Ricky Jones, third start for this rookie. He's looking for his first ever round win in the car built by his dad. Power comes from Roy and Alan Johnson. It's Alan Johnson over on the other side, not lost in the first round yet this season. Alan Johnson close off the line. 671 with a 2 for Alan Johnson, 206 miles an hour to a losing 672 with a 7.
That was a good old drag race. If you take a look at our Lucas Oil photo finish cam, right at the finish line, Alan Johnson dragging the laundry across it, but still gets the win by just a nose over Ricky Jones.
Now the next pair, Ron Krischer and Bill Glidden, son of Bob Glidden. Let's take you back, 1986. Bob Glidden and Butch Leal. The right lane, left side of your screen.
Racing Butch Leal, the California Flash. I remember this one. Bob Glidden, this is a horrendous barrel roll situation right here. Into the wall, into the guardrail, up and over. I don't know, it was like 7 or 8 times, but you know the big thing that everybody remembers about this, other than the fact that Bob escaped unharmed, is he had the presence of mind after this to take his jacket and go over and cover the manifold so the competition didn't see it.
Got to keep those pro stock secrets, and Bob Glidden's got a bunch of them. Ron Krischer, Bob Glidden. Krischer, number 1 qualifier. Bill Glidden gives it away, runs a 7:49 with a 2 to a Krischer 6:67, 207 mile an hour pass. So the number 1 qualifier continues to move on. He'll face Jeg when they get to the second round. Pro Stock Motorcycles are here, including Andrew Hines. He's had a great weekend. We'll see Pro Stock Motorcycle and what they'll do in a moment. This telecast is available on ESPN2 HD, presented by Olivia. At Atlanta Dragway, nice crowd. Skies are getting a little bit lighter. Maybe the weather will stay away at the Summit Racing Equipment Southern Nationals here just north and east of Atlanta. You're looking at Jason Line coming off of his first race win in over a year. He scored that 2 weeks ago at Las Vegas. The former Pro Stock champ, and Ted Horner will be his opposition. His first ever race day start in a Pro Stock car. He runs the David Nickens Power, Jerry Haas built car.
And Todd Horner's got his work cut out for him, because Jason Line, coming off that win in Las Vegas, he has been working on his reaction times. He's pretty much terrible last year, and he'd be the first one to tell you that. But it looks like the practicing has been paying off. He's been much more consistent. thing is, he's got to keep doing that's got him there up to this point, is be aggressive on that tree. Don't slack off and make sure you get the win. Todd Horner got timed out.
So Jason Line will go on to the win as Horner times out. A rookie thing there. But because of awkward qualifying, now Jason Line will face his teammate Greg Anderson in second round.
Yeah, and what we mean by timing out, when one driver stages, the other one's pre-staged. As soon as that driver stages, you have 7 seconds to pull into stage. The computer is activated and it's timed. If you don't stage within that 7 seconds, you get the automatic red, which happened to Todd Horner, and then Jason Line gets a free ride into the second round.
Let's go to Gary Gerald. He's up at the top end, and he's got what has to be a pretty happy Ron Krischer, G-Man?
He's been talking about the progress they've been making, and, of course, as the #1 qualifier, he was still looking for that first-round victory. Now you've got it, but you've also got a big challenge because you got another Cagnazzi-powered opponent in the next round in Jake Coughlin. What do you think?
Well, that's pretty tough. You know, Jaggy's always tough no matter what happens. So we've beat Jaggy before probably a good number of times, and he's beat me a good number. So it'll be real interesting. I think he's probably got lane choice by 2007. Yes. So we'll see what happens, but I'm pretty excited.
Good.
Yeah, jumping up and down, isn't he? Now that's always the way he is. Justin Humphries, his 19th race day start, career best starting effort. Going to start just 2-round wins this season. Went past round 1 at the Winter Nationals and at Gainesville.
And the interesting thing with Justin Humphries getting that #3 qualifier, Bob Glidden has left the team. So basically they're doing it on their own. Car owner Dick Maskins, Justin Humphries, and the team over there doing the setups. And boy, so far it looks good getting him that #3 spot. But Greg Stanfield, I mean, he's a tough racer. He knows how to win races. He hasn't won his first Pro Stock race yet. And he said he's just kind of knocking on the door. He would love nothing better than to be able to bring one home here in Atlanta. But he's going to have to get around Justin first.
Coming off of his 5th career final round in Pro Stock.
I have a little staging duel here. Looks like neither driver wants to go in first. There's no timeout when you both cars are pre-staged. The only thing that you can be timed out is a starter. Eventually, if everybody just sits there forever, he can actually go out there and back the drivers out, or he can let them just sit there and do this, stay pre-staged. The timeout factor again comes once the first driver moves in and stages, and the other driver in the other lane has 7 seconds to stage the car, or else they are timed out.
Some dramatics from Rick Stewart, official starter. Wants those cars to get in there and go. And the win goes to Justin Humphries. Look at the reaction time. He runs a 6:88, 206 miles an hour. Comes off the 6:68. And he comes off the line with a 004.
How about Justin Humphries? He didn't get flustered by that little staging duel. It looked like it helped him out. But take a look at our Pro Stock ladder presented by Lucas Oil. Jed Coughlin, Ron Krischer going head-to-head, Alan Johnson and Mike Edwards.
And Jason Line will have to take on his teammate when they go to round 2. Justin Humphries is going to face Bert Johnson. When you get on a Pro Stock motorcycle, you better hang on. Here's the reason why. This is Angie McBride. She hit that little bump and went for a wild ride. Why do we show you that? Well, it's entertaining. And we also would like you to hang on because Pro Stock motorcycles are coming up. Back at Atlanta Dragway, the NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series Summit Racing Equipment Southern Nationals, just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. I'm Paul Page with Mike Dunn, Dave Reef, Gary Gerald. They're trackside, and we're getting ready to go with second round action. And here is the Top Fuel ladder. One of the big matchups, Corey Mack and Antron Brown.
On the other side of the ladder, you're going to have Hot Rod Ford going up against Doug Herbert and Tony Schumacher taking on Hillary Will.
But right now, the one matchup that we didn't mention on the ladder, J.R. Todd and Bob Vandergrift. J.R. Todd got his first round win of the season just today. Bob Vandergrift, hometown track, and both are trying to find the first semi of the season.
Bob Vandergrift got there by virtue of having to backpedal that UPS dragster when Larry Dixon had some problems and got him into this round. Lost some lane choice. Now he's up against J.R. Todd. We'll see what both of these drivers can do.
Terrific. That's terrific. And on the whole shot, Bob Vandergrift takes out J.R. Todd with a 4.66 with an 8.298. Morgan Lucas says, I can't believe it.
Yeah, he says he can't believe it. Brandon Bernstein's going, dang, that's my buddy.
Oh.
But remember, your buddy took you out on a whole shot in the first round, so turnabout, I guess, is fair play. Bob Vandergrift had the advantage off the starting line by almost 2.5 hundredths. You saw a cylinder go out just at the transition at half track, slowed him down, and then something happened to JR's car, it looked like, just before the finish line, and allowed Bob to get the win. Now, let's take another look at it. You're going to see right here, it looks pretty good, had some soft numbers, but then as it gets the transition right there, the cylinder's out, and I thought it was all over for Bob at that point, but then JR looked like he had some problems down track and allowed Bob to get the win, and look at that margin of victory. Look how close that was.
And coming up, it's a rematch of the Las Vegas final. Antron Brown and Corey McLenithan. But let's go to the top end and Gary Gerald.
Well, Matt Smith in the first round of eliminations today. With these conditions, we're seeing a lot of impressive numbers. Seems like most everybody's in the mid-90s. What's it going to take here as you go into the next round?
Well, that was the first run on our motor. This is a new motor we put in today. So that was the first lap on it, so we're going to go back and tune it. This is the motor we had in Houston, and it's a good piece, so we're going to go out here and be fast next round.
All right, and the man who'll be working with him is his dad right behind him here. He's getting ready to push back the pits and get the turnaround ready for round number 2.
There's Lee Beard, crew chief for Antron Brown. He's won here in Top Fuel with Corey Mack and also in Funny Car with Whit Bazemore. Great race. Pole shot goes to Antron Brown. A 4.59 with a 1 at 325 miles an hour to a losing 4.56 with a 2.
Wow, and that was a great drag race. You see, Antron is pumped. I mean, he got the advantage, but let me tell you something. He staged that thing deep because his 60-foot time was not that good. 0.23 to 0.55, about 300ths of a second advantage off of the starting line for Antron, but Corey pretty much made that up in 60 feet. And look at the margin of victory at the finish line, just by a nose. Antron Brown gets the win.
And the next pair, Doug Herbert and Rod Fuller, with everybody watching the weather, Mike.
Well, you're going to have to. A number of the teams have these Computech weather stations that they look at a ton of information to try to determine, as well as the radar, to see where the rain's coming. Look like the rain is going to possibly hold off, and we can get all the racing in today, but they still have to keep track of the changing conditions to make the right adjustments on these cars. If you look at the weather right now, it hasn't changed a whole lot. Remember, it was 74 when we started. It's up to 76. It's gotten a little bit drier. The track temperature has actually stayed the same. That's good because basically your setup from the previous round should be pretty close for the second round.
There's Doug Herbert. Houston was his best race of the season. He started second there, lost in the semifinals. And on the other side, he's got his mojo. Rod Fuller has not been to a final round this year, but he says he's ready to get back there too. He's got his mojo back. Boy, does he. Hot Rod Fuller, 4.55 with a 6, 324 to a losing 4.75 with a 4 for Doug Herbert.
That was a pretty good drag race to about half track. Doug Herbert got a big advantage off the starting line, almost 600ths of a second over Hot Rod Fuller. By half track, though, Hot Rod was closing in fast. He was running 274 miles per hour at the 8th. Doug was only running 266. That's 8 miles an hour faster. That is huge, and that allowed him just to drive around and get the win.
Antron Brown, he's on a march. He'll face Bob Vandergriff. Next pair, Tony Schumacher, the Army car, and Hillary Will, who has the most points of the 3 Coletta Top Fuel cars. Let's go to Gary.
Antron, I can't help but wonder about your motorcycle experience. Does that help you in terms of reacting to the tree, even though you're now in a dragster for the first time?
Yeah, it does, but what I gotta say is that that time I was holding the brake and I was pulling the car through the beam, so it was rolling. So it was a real deep stage. That time I was glad it turned red before I took off because it just kept on rolling. So I killed some ET out there for my crew chief Lee, but we got this Macro Tools car in the semifinals, and that was a tough race against Corey Mack with the Fran team, and he's gonna keep on marching forward. And it was a great race win, and we got to keep on going. I'm excited, can't talk, but next round will be all right. And thanks to all the good people from iLocate, Go Fast, and Valvoline. Thank you.
And what he has done is knock a #1 qualifier out. Nobody's gotten beyond the second round thus far this year.
So Hillary Will, Tony Schumacher, last pair Top Fuel. Wow, Hillary gave him a good run, too. We have seen some great runs in Top Fuel. Clouds overhead, good track prep. Tony Schumacher wins 4:57 with a 2:324 over Hillary Will.
Boy, you gotta love it. We have some great drag races. I can't say enough. Tony Schumacher got a slight advantage off of the starting line, 080 to an 090. But then look at the finish line. This was close, just about a half a car length for Tony Schumacher.
And here's the way they came down the track. In this case, it was Tony all the way. The semifinal matchups then in Top Fuel. It will set Antron Brown against Bob Vandergriff. Antron will have lane choice, so that's been pretty even today. And Rod Fuller will face Tony Schumacher, and Rod will have lane choice. And everybody continues to watch the weather. We look pretty good. Big X about where we are up there off of 85. There's some weather down there, but I think we're going to get it in, Mike. The whole Cont'd system giving them the information. Back in Atlanta Dragway, the Summit Racing Equipment Southern Nationals Funny Car. Here is Ron Capps and Cruz Pedregon. You take a look from Cruz's view. Runner-up at the Winter Nationals to start the season. And the Funny Car ladder as we look ahead through Funny Car.
Jim Head going up against Ashley Force.
That one belongs to Capps. 487, 318 to a losing 490, 314.
What did Ron hit?
87.
87?
Copy.
There's Ed the Ace McCullough, crew chief for Ron Capps. He's won here 3 times in Funny Car.
Ron Capps has got to be happy with that round win. Let's take a look at Cruz Pedregon on board. Ron Capps had about 3.5 hundredths of advantage off the start line. Look at all the clutch dust coming inside that car. That's what Cruz Pedregon was looking through, but unfortunately he did not get the win.
Awful busy in that cockpit there. Bob Tasca and Gary Dencham are on the line. There is Tasca looking for his first semifinal. Can he do it? If he can get past Gary Dencham, he can.
Well, you know, he has a good shot at getting around Gary Dencham. He's had a very good car since Chris Cunningham has taken over the tuning duties in Las Vegas. That thing has been consistent, but I'll tell you, Gary Dencham's had a pretty good race car also this weekend.
Gary Dencham has never been to a final round here at Atlanta. What great racing we're seeing, and what a wonderful moment that is. 486 with a 1 for Bob Tasca, 315 miles an hour as he beats Gary Dencham.
Well, I'm just more and more impressed with that entire team. Bob Tasca, Chris Cunningham, the crew chief right there, doing a fantastic job just getting the car down the track. And that's key for Chris Cunningham because he's getting good data. Every time that car goes down the racetrack, he gets more and more information. He seems to keep getting better and better. But Bob Tasca did his job getting 200ths of a second advantage off the starting line and gets the win.
Oh, very happy man. At the line, John Force. Looking for another round win as he counts them down to 1,000. He's just 3 away. And the number 1 qualifier here in Atlanta, that's Tim Wilkerson. And that's who will face John Force right now. Tim Wilkerson. Boy, he's been a story as well. Every now and then he just jumps up there, takes that number 1 qualifier. Of course, they say it's because he's been working on a budget, working with his car, which has been heavy for a year now, but when they put the weight up 100 pounds for funny car, it dealt him a good hand. Another round for John Force. 482 with a 2, 317 to a losing 485 with a 7.
And another great drag race. And how about that John Force OET of eliminations with that 482. Tim Wilkerson's right there with a 485, but John had a little over 100th of a second advantage off of the starting line. Put a couple more in the bank at the finish line. And as a result, John Force is going to the semifinals,
where he will face Bob Tasca. Coming up, it will be that lady right there, Ashley Force, with a chance to take the points lead back away from Tim Wilkerson. She will face Jim Head, and we'll have that next. Give you a little look at downtown Atlanta. Better look at John Force and his daughter Ashley. Ashley is coming up now. There is the possibility that Ashley could face John in the final round of the Summit Racing Equipment Southern Nationals at Atlanta Dragway. There is Ashley Force. She won here in Top Alcohol Dragster, so she's got a win on this track. And Jim Head went to back-to-back semis at Phoenix and at Gainesville.
Well, and that's right. I mean, if Ashley wants to get in the final to race her father, she's going to have to get around a cagey veteran right now in Jim Head.
Whoa, Jim drifts way over toward the wall, and Ashley takes that win, 494 with a 261 miles an hour to Jim Head's 499 at 308 miles an hour.
Wow, that was a wild race and a close race. You know, it was something. If we get another look at it, I thought it was over for Jim Head. You're going to see him drive. Watch the right side of your screen. He's going to drive completely out of the groove to the right because he had a cylinder out right over there. It pushed him over towards the wall. Luckily, didn't spin the tires too hard, but then right there at the transition and half track, Ashley makes a hard move over the wall. Look how sideways she got that, and she says, hey, I'm getting out of the throttle. But luckily enough, she had enough momentum to get the win with that 494. Take another look at it. Jim Head had about 400ths of a second advantage off of the starting line, and then you're going to see her look pretty good up until this point right there. That car makes a move over towards the wall, and then another move, and then when she corrects, that thing slides over the other side. She did the smart thing, getting out of the throttle. She knew if she crossed the center line, it would have been all over, and as a result, she's in the semifinals.
And what's more, no matter what happens, she leaves this event with the points lead. Look at John. Oh, and Mom, yes. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Well, Ashley gets the sunglasses in place, the Old Spice towel in place. You got to have everything just so. But here you are now going to another semifinal round. You got Ron Capps next time around. Not going to be much margin for error, I wouldn't think.
I'll tell you what, we had luck on our side that round. I got all over the place, and I actually had to lift early. I got too close to the wall, and if you hit it, you're disqualified anyway. So I just prayed I wouldn't see him, and he came blazing right by me, but it was right through the light. So we are so lucky for Team Force and Castrol and AAA and Old Spice and everybody who supports us. I bet they're all really breathing a big sigh of relief because we were. And I'm sorry to my guys. I was so excited. I was yelling on the radio. I think I blew everyone's eardrums out, but I'm just excited to even go to the semis again.
And back in the points lead.
One very excited Ashley Force, and she should be for any number of reasons. When we show you the points, there is one reason she's gone back into the provisional lead in the points by 19 over Tim Wilkerson.
And remember, the top 10 drivers advanced to the countdown to 1 after Indy. Right now, Del Worsham is in that 10th spot, 145 points out of first.
And the funny car ladder. Looking ahead, John Force, lane choice over Bob Tasca III, who's having a terrific weekend. And Ashley Force faces Ron Capps. Ron Capps will have the lane choice. Pro Stock is coming up. Jason Line. He was the champion in 2006. That was a great year, but he's driving even better now.
Been doing a fantastic job all year long in 2008. He's going to be coming up against his boss and teammate, Greg Anderson.
Yeah, and there's the problem. It's right in the middle of the team. Line and Anderson, teammates. We've been ducking the rain and the clouds all day. Cloud cover over the track. Nice conditions for racing. Good track temperature at the Summit Racing Equipment Nationals. And here is the ladder Pro Stock presented by Lucas Oil. As we look ahead to the semifinals, Ron Krischer's got his work cut out for him, but he seems up to it. And Jason Line and Greg Anderson, well, somebody's got to win, don't they? So we're going to start now with exactly that matchup. Greg Anderson and Jason Line.
On board with Greg Anderson. You see he's looking to his right. That's because he is in the left lane. Jason Line had lane choice. He took the right.
Wow.
On a hole shot.
Wow. Jason Line with the hole shot. Greg Anderson just a bit late there. Jason runs a 6.67 with a 5 and takes that win.
Greg wasn't real late. I mean, 0.32, that's not a bad light in Pro Stock. Jason was just on his game. 0.02 of a second advantage off of the starting line. On board with Greg. Watch him going through the gears. Had to move the wheel a little bit initially. It still wasn't too bad of a run for that lane, I think. He just came up a little bit short to his teammate.
Let's go to Dave Reed.
Dave Conley not a part of the second round, but great to have him back after missing the first 5 races, doing that sportsman thing. But now he's got Charter Communications on the side of a car and still plenty of time to make the countdown to 10. David, what was it like this weekend to get back out here, run with the big boys?
It was pretty incredible. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out for us, so I guess we're down 5.5 races, you could say. But, if I'd had to spend one more day sitting at home, twiddling my thumbs, wishing I was in one of these cars, I'd have went crazy. So I'm just glad to be back out here. Thanks to Charter Communications, LifeLock. Those are the people making it happen for us. And even though we had a few problems with our Chevy Cobalt this weekend, we'll work on it and get it ready for next week.
You said he dreamed about us at night. Do you believe that?
I have nightmares. I can understand that.
Sure thing.
Kurt Johnson and Justin Humphreys. There is Kurt. His 750th round of racing. Won here in 96 over Jim Yates. Justin Humphreys. He drives for that multi-time champion engine builder Richard Maskin. What a great young guy he is, too. He's good for the sport.
And he's a great driver, too. Everybody that's seen him drive have nothing but praise for him. But right now he's got to get around Kurt Johnson. Kurt Johnson getting lane choice this time. That could be the difference right here with taking that right-hand lane. The left lane with that bump at 150 feet kind of affects the Pro Stock cars also. So we'll see what happens, though.
Humphreys, hole shot. You saw Kurt Johnson come off the line, but you saw Humphreys just with a great reaction time. Runs a 6:68, 205 miles an hour to take the win. He'll face Jason Line.
Yeah, Justin had a good light, but Kurt Johnson was late. And then to add insult to injury, the car drove out of the groove a little bit, which slowed him down. But he still ran quicker with a 6:66, but it was not enough elapsed time to catch Justin Humphreys' 6:68 elapsed time.
A lot of happiness up at the line. Next pair, well, it's going to be the number 1 qualifier, Valvoline car on the far side. That's Ron Krischer against this man, Jag Coughlin. Let's go to the top end, Gary Gerald.
Terrific light, 0.11. Gave you a couple hundredths advantage. You needed it against your teammate there. Pretty satisfied?
I'm satisfied. I'm in a hurry. I got to get home. My wife's ready to have the baby, so I want to get this race over with. But, yeah, just, it was a strange run, actually. The car jumped out of gear in third gear, did something really weird. But it's great to win. A little bittersweet, obviously, to beat my teammate. But, it's a Summit race, and we just hope one of the Summit cars can get there. And I guess I'm all that's left, so that's what we got to do.
They induce labor on his wife Cindy tomorrow for the baby. Wish you all well.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's all yours.
You saw the cockpit view of Jag Coughlin. There is Ron Krischer, and his last NHRA win at St. Louis will be at St. Louis in 1 week. And that's Jag. He takes down the number 1 qualifier.
206.45. Good job.
6:65 with a 7.
Felt really, really good. I might have short shifted the 2-3 a little bit, but looks like we got away with it. Good job. Same to you, buddy.
Well, let's go on board with Jag and see what he's talking about, short shifting the 1-2. Right there, that's the one he was talking about, but it couldn't have been too bad because he still runs a 6:65 with that great reaction time, gets him into the next round, taking out the number 1 qualifier.
6:45.
The final pair in Pro Stock will then be Alan Johnson and Mike Edwards.
Like Alan's trying to wake himself up right there. He was a little tardy in the first round, and he doesn't want to be this time against Mike Edwards because Mike Edwards was low ET of that first round with that great 6:65 elapsed time. So Alan knows he has to be on his game. Mike Edwards usually does a pretty good job on the tree, and they've been making good horsepower with their engine program this year, and now they're making good runs.
Mike Edwards' best races of the year, Phoenix and Gainesville, where he went to the semis and lost.
Dead even.
Oh, another close one. Another close one, and it belongs to Edwards. 6:66 with a 7, 206 to a losing 6:69 with a 6. Roy Johnson looks down track.
Now let's go on board with Allen. He had the reaction time this time, was not laid off the starting line. They were pretty much, like we said, dead even as he ran through the gears. Just didn't quite have enough for Mike Edwards on the other end.
And a little reaction back at the starting line. We're a little pleased with that. Semifinal matchup in Pro Stock will look this way. Jag will have lane choice over Mike Edwards. And Jason Line, waiting for the baby, will have lane choice over Justin Humphrey. It's Pro Stock Motorcycle that's coming up next from Atlanta. Welcome back. Atlanta Dragway, just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, the Summit Racing Equipment Southern Nationals, part of the NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series. I'm Paul Page with Mike Dunn. Dave Reef and Gary Gerald are trackside, and we are having a spectacular day. We've dodged the rain. We're moving toward the finals. Semifinals are coming up. Ron Capps, a little warm up there as Ed the Ace reaches in, and as he gets ready to face Ashley Force. In the meantime, Gary Gerald has a fired-up Bob Tasca.
Well, Bob Tasca advancing out of the semifinals. First time as you stepped up in your rookie season as a pro. Is it hard to keep the emotion contained because you're just pounding out of that car?
Man, I'm excitable. This is unbelievable. For Chris Cunningham and my guys, just incredible. This car is running unbelievable. Motorcraft, Quick Lane, FordAccessories.com. Ford drive one, I drive one. That's a Ford hot rod driven by a Ford kid, and we're going to the semifinals.
Yes, you are.
And he should be celebrating like that. A Nitro recap for you. We start with funny car. John Force came up to face Tim Wilkerson, the #1 qualifier. We've seen great racing side by side and close like this all day. That put John Force 1 round close to 1,000 round wins.
And Ashley forced up against Jim Head. Jim Head gets it over towards the wall, and then so does Ashley, and she just barely squeaks out the win. 494 beats a 499 by Jim Head.
In Top Fuel, it was Corey McClenathan and Antron Brown. Corey Mack, the #1 qualifier. Antron Brown looking so strong this season. And you know what? Antron Brown took the win. So the Lucas Oil Top Fuel ladder looks this way. Antron Brown has Bob Vandergrift. Rod Fuller has Tony Schumacher. And here we go. Vandergrift on the left. And there is Antron Brown.
Paul, for the last couple of races, this is a team, the UPS team that is, that's been trying to find and work on a new combination. And Jimmy Dupuy, the crew chief on this effort, said they're having problems getting this car to 60 foot. It's somewhere around the 869, 870 area. They'd like it to be 850, so that's what they've been really working on here. But they don't know how critical that's going to be based on that 150-foot bump that exists in that racetrack that far out. But they've got over it one more time, and they're going to try to duplicate their efforts, go in the mid-460s once again. If Antron and his crew chief Lee Beard make a mistake, maybe they'll get themselves into another final, another opportunity to get that first win.
Well, that's almost what it seems like it's going to have to happen for Antron Brown to get defeated by Bob Vandergrift. They just had a very consistent race car here. Let's see if they can do it again.
Antron Brown is going to go to his 3rd final in a row. Top speed of the event, 330 miles an hour. He runs a 4:55 with a 5 to beat Bob Vandergrift at his home track.
330 miles per hour. Lee Beard had that thing thumping on the other end. They were pretty close, dead even to half track. You saw the oil start coming out of that UPS car, and that's what caused the problem. Let's take another look at 60-foot time. Still a little bit slow, 875. They wanted to pick up a couple of hundreds, but it looked good up until half track, and that's when the engine damage started coming out. You see it mixing up the cylinders. It starts pushing big-time oil out of the back of that big Hemi power plant.
Let's go to Dave Reef.
Well, Paul, you know racers sometimes have some superstitions, we'll go ahead and call it. Well, this is exactly where Hot Rod Fuller comes to the lanes inside of his Toyota Sequoia. And you were talking earlier about the mojo that exists on this team. Well, ironically, coincidentally enough, they have a thing called the Mojo Stick. Now, this is an old Easton hockey stick that you can see has been halved here. It's fiberglass. And where Hot Rod found this was actually in a trash can in Phoenix, Arizona at Firebird Raceway last year. Well, go back. That's a race he happened to win. So needless to say, this now exists right here in the Toyota Sequoia. In fact, I wasn't even allowed to take it out of here. And some of the other superstitions he has, don't forget that guy's got a troll inside of that race car too. But Mike, you ever have any superstitions?
Only that I was afraid one day I might end up doing TV. And
bad news for you.
Yeah, that nightmare happened. Jeez. I love it here. I'm just kidding.
Don't forget the NASCAR Nationwide Series continues Friday in Richmond. I'm offended, Mike. Richmond, Virginia, with a Lipton T250. Coverage begins with NASCAR Countdown at 7 o'clock. To the top end, and Gary Gerald.
I know that every driver has aspirations, goals, dreams. Did you dare to dream that you could go to 3 consecutive finals in your first 6 events as a Top Fuel driver?
Yeah, man, that's an unbelievable feat. But this Macco Tool team's unbelievable. With Lee Beard leading the whole way. My hat's off to him, man. He's been my mentor, and he's definitely leading me the way. And the team's doing a phenomenal job. This is Macco Tools car, and all the distributors giving us the support. And it's just for them because they've been standing behind us all year long. Took a chance on a rookie, and our team's doing a fantastic job. And it's awesome to have all those guys support us like I, Locate, Go Fast, and Valvoline and Toyota. So we're going to keep on marching forward, and hopefully we can race my teammate in the final with the Cat car because he's definitely an ultimate driver too.
We'll find out shortly.
Rod Fuller and Tony Schumacher, along with Brandon Bernstein last year, the final. They were the battle for the championship.
Here it was at Pomona. Tony Schumacher had to win the race to win the championship. Otherwise, it was Hot Rod Fuller's. You see the expression on Hot Rod's face. Tells it all.
So now it's a little get even time, perhaps, for Rod Fuller as He faces Tony Schumacher. First time that these two have met since then. Schumacher. Wow. 4:51. Lowest lap time of the race. 325 miles an hour to a losing 4:53 with a 9.
I'll tell you, Hot Rod Fuller, Rob Flynn, that team did everything right. They were perfect. The problem was Tony Schumacher, that man there, and Alan Johnson were just a little bit better. You heard Tony saying Alan was trying for Lloyd T the previous round. He doesn't miss it more than twice very often. The track was there. He nails it. 4:51 to a 4:53 by about a half a car length. Shoes in the final.
That 4:53.9 is the second fastest, second quickest of the race, and it loses. Wow. Boy, have we seen some stuff here today. So there is the Top Fuel final. Antron Brown, Tony Schumacher. Tony Schumacher will have the lane choice. Oh. So it's Funny Car that's coming up now. This could be huge. Just consider the possibility as we turn on the Team Force radio. The Forces are in the semis. Let's show you the Funny Car ladder. And there's Ron Capps and Ashley Forrest. They come up now. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Hello. Tony Schumacher having to set for quite a long time while they cleaned up the track after the oil down from Bob Vandergrift. How tough was that?
Brutal. It was hot. You know, they say 10 minutes so you stay in the car. And just time kept going. But NHRA, you know, hats off. 51. You sit in the car because you know that they're doing their job. They're not doing it to make you sweat. They're doing it to clean the racetrack, give us a fantastic track. U.S. Army team, Army Reserves, 100 years this birthday this weekend, so that's great for them. We'd love to go out and win this one. We got a huge next round, man. Antron, this guy's gone to 3 final round, my old teammate, so, you know, who'd expect? But he's doing a fantastic job. We're going to have to step up and just perform.
Thanks, Sarge.
Well, Ron Capps, second race in a row that he's in the semis. His last final round on the tour was Richmond last year. Ashley Forth, this is her 50th round of racing. Her dad racing in his 1,359th when he comes up in a moment. And that's going to be Ashley. Ron Capps smokes the tires right on the line. Ashley Forth.
Ashley, you got an 84.
Wow.
Good luck, 18. Good job, kid.
Yep, she did a good job. They didn't have lane choice. Let's take another look at it. Ron Capps looks like he spun the tires as soon as he hit the throttle, drove right up into tire smoke. His day was done. Ashley in that left-hand lane stuck it right down the middle of the lane, unlike in the previous round where she got a little bit loose and out of the groove. This time it was stuck in the middle. Wheel gave her a good tune-up. 484, great run. 317 miles per hour is going to get her into the final round for this third straight race.
No question, they've got this track figured out, but the same information, of course, available to John Force. He's coming up next to face Bob Tasca. And there they are on the line, and Pro Stock Motorcycle coming. Let's check in with Dave.
Well, and we got to check in with Craig Treble, one of 2 Suzuki set to take on the V-Twins. We're just behind the timing tower here, so it might get to be a bit noisy. But Craig, you got a brand new Sandy Cosman bike this weekend, and it looks like the Suzukis might have something for him today, do they?
Well, I don't know. You know, Andrew Hines, man, he's had a bracket bike over there. He's been running 95 after 95. We ran an 01 first round, so, how do you beat a bracket race? Bracket bike, you got to bracket race them. So that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and hit that tree. Those guys are tough, man. But, this bike, Harry made some drastic changes with the chassis last night. It wasn't leaving the line the way it was supposed to. And, man, I thought he was nuts. But you know what? That's why he's the crew chief and I'm the rider, because this thing's been 60 foot and hard, and it's coming around pretty good. So we're real happy with it right now.
It will be Craig Treble and Andrew Hines, and on the other side, Chip Ellis and Angel Sampé.
Yep, so there he is, John Force. It's Bob Tasca in the other lane, and Stat Guy's tracking them both.
Well, in case Bob Tasca would pull off that huge upset to take out John Force, we would have two racers who never won before in a final round in Funny Car. It has not happened since Memphis of 1995 when Gary Clapshaw beat Gary Densham. It's been a long time.
Did you see Bob Tasca's eyes? He is up for this.
Yeah, you want to be focused on the lights, and he had a great reaction time in the previous round and ran a good pass of 486. Chris Cunningham has that car running pretty well. You look at John Force in the right-hand lane.
Regardless, we're guaranteed to have our 6th different winner in Funny Car. It's a pretty good start to the year, too.
John Force! Oh, man, they came off the line identical. John runs a 484 with a 5. Tasca getting in a little trouble.
At 484 to a 484. Good job.
Wow.
You got her? You won. Good job.
Yeah, Bob Tasca had a 484 with an 8 to John's 484 with a 5. They came off the line dead even.
What a great race to set up this historic final, father versus daughter. And I'll tell you what, Bob Tasca has nothing to be ashamed about. He did a great job all day long, as did his crew chief, Chris Cunningham. Just came up slightly short by 38/10,000ths of a second. John Force makes it to the final. Let's take another look at it. You saw a little bit of fluid coming out of that rear pipe, number 8 cylinder on John Force, but as soon as he hits the throttle, that thing cleaned right up. Like you said, Paul, identical reaction times for both drivers. The difference on the other end was in elapsed time. And like I said, by 38/10,000ths, John Force is in the final.
Well, there's a drag race in its purest form. And look at Ashley. Her fire suit's beginning to look a lot like her dad's. You know, a lot of clutch dust and everything all over it. Maybe that's their superstition that will work for her. Let's go to Dave Reef back at the line.
We're good. You need a full throttle.
Chasing down Lori Force, a very happy mother, a very happy wife. Heading back into the pits, Lori. We were just talking the first father-daughter matchup in history. What are your thoughts?
I am so excited. I can't even believe it. Last year was the very first year that Ashley and John came up against each other. It was in first round, and Ashley beat her dad. And it was a crazy year, and, you know, she's had a pretty good start this year. And now I don't know who I want, because this will be his 1,000th or her first. So I can't even believe this is happening today. I think in my heart I got to go with Ashley. I mean, she's got to have her first one. He can do his 1,000th next week, you know, on his birthday. There you go.
There you have it, Lori. Maybe pull a little bit more for Ashley. That's what it sounds like to me, Gary.
Yeah, I think so. Mom says she's going to end up pulling for you for your first rather than Dad's 1,000th, because Dad can get the 1,000th at the next race in St. Louis. Your thoughts about that, Ashley? You're going against Pops, and you guys faced each other for the first time here at this track just a year ago.
I know, what the heck? We always, Team Force, we just always do everything dramatic. My very first session out in Funny Car was when he bumped me out of the field in Pomona, and I jumped back in, and we just can't do anything normal, can we? We're a strange family, but, you know, we have all the same sponsors, so for Ford and Castrol and Brand Source and Old Spice and everyone, we're just going to go up there and have some fun, and hopefully I'm gonna kick this old man's butt, but who knows?
Dad, your emotions.
I wish my mom and dad was here to see this. I know Lori's, you know, mom and dad, they're watching this, and it's a big moment for this kid here. It's a big moment for this old man here. But, you know, AAA is Southern Cal. We got a new deal. We're going to St. Louis next week, you know, with Auto Club, and Castro been with me here for so long, and now they're supporting her, and it's just so really cool. Brand Source, and I'm still plugging them sponsors, because I ain't gone no rounds if you haven't noticed lately, and just to get out here and get a shot, and just to be part of this, and to be able to race her, that's what's really cool. To watch her evolve, to watch her learn, and you know what? You got to earn the right, baby, for this deal. You want to win, you got to whip me, because you know what? That's the way you got to have it, because that's what's real, and then it'll all make sense.
And that's 30 years of experience talking right there.
Oh, man, don't intimidate your daughter back. You know, getting up to this
she's
one.
done. She's heading home.
Oh, this is going to be so fantastic. But what about Pro Stock? We're getting ready to go. Jason Line and Justin Humphreys. The Pro Stock ladder. On this matchup with Humphreys and then Jeg Coughlin and Mike Edwards.
There's some good semifinal matchups with some good drivers and some good cars. Jason Line, like we said, he's been on a tear all year long. That win in Las Vegas proved it last week, but Justin Humphreys, he is a very good driver. Oh, and he goes red.
Oh. Pressure can get you. And guess what? KB Racing has had a car in the final round every race this season. Is that great? So Jason Line is looking now at his 4th final round of the year. And Ashley Force will now face her father when we go to the Funny Car Final. What a day this has turned out to be. Pro Stock, the other half of the semifinal, right side of your screen. That's Jeg Coughlin. He's trying to get to his 3rd final round of the season, and Mike Edwards is trying to go to his 1st.
That's perfect. Carry on up.
Gary Gerald spoke to Jeg after his last run.
We hear you on the radio, and you were saying it might have been just a bit soft. I don't know if that's the right terminology on one of the shifts.
Yeah, the 2-3. I've been hitting it a little early all weekend for some reason. I'm just amped up. But, to get by WJ here in his home state and home track is huge there in the first round, and come back with Ron Krischer, who had just a monstrous run there first round with 207 speed. To get the Jegs.com car going in the semis makes us feel proud. I think we got something to work with. That 65 was pretty strong.
Good, thanks.
Thank you.
I'll say that 65 was pretty good. That was a very good run. Gave him lane choice against Mike Edwards. Could be key right here because both these cars have been running very well all day long. Seems like the right lane may be a little bit better, but you're still going to have to hit that combination just right.
Edwards came off with a good reaction time, 008.
And it paid off. Wow.
That gave him the win. He ran a 6.66 with a 7.
Mike Edwards, I mean, he's done that. He had 2 perfect lights in 2 races in a row this year, so he knows how to trim that tree. 8,000s from perfect. Jeg was a little bit tardy, not a bad light, but not a good light. And you look at the margin of victory at the finish line, almost half a car length for Mike Edwards.
Back of the line, look at his celebration going on for Mike Edwards. So Mike Edwards will go to the final, and it is his 1st final round here at Atlanta.
Mike Don, Angela's got a problem. It seems like she just can't get that throttle to come up to speed. George Bryce is watching out here, and they shut it down.
Boy, it just didn't sound right either when she was turning that throttle around. That's a tough break for her.
Remember, Steve Johnson had that problem earlier, but that's just going to set it up so Chip Ellis is going to make the run all by himself on into the final.
And Chip Ellis on that bike that she rode for a number of years with Don Schumacher Racing, and that Suzuki's been running awfully well. Now Chip can just focus on making a great pass. Nice run.
That's got to hurt, though. Chip Ellis on Jill's old Suzuki, the quickest Suzuki on the property. And that, as an occurrence, that's rare and unusual. And what about Chip? Low ET of the race. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Whole shot victory, 008 on the tree, does the job for Mike Edwards. Your thoughts about the matchup now in the finals? You got Jason Line, and he's going to have lane choice by just a teeny bit.
Yeah, I mean, they're both coming around. I mean, I ran the left that time and made a pretty nice run. You know, I just thankful to be here. I mean, I got a lot of guys to thank. First of all, just thank the Lord for this opportunity. Just give him all the glory. And all my guys, Terry and the guys at the shop, I mean, they just, Paul and Nick did a great job. So we're happy. First final in a while, guys.
You betcha. Congratulations.
And our second pair in the semis, Pro Stock Motorcycle, that's Andrew Hines, the runner-up at Gainesville. He's run all in the sixes this weekend. And Craig Treble, who is a customer, incidentally, of Vance and Hines, scored his first round wins of the season today.
Tell you right now, it's all Andrew Hines. That bike has been unbelievable all week, and it's pretty much his race to lose right here. He definitely has the advantage over Craig Treble. Remember, Pro Stock Motorcycles, a lot of times you see the riders make mistakes because these bikes wreck so quick. You can see red lights, or because of that fact, they can kind of hold the light back a little bit and be dead late. Andrew's got to be on time.
Continues to stomp them. A 6.95 with a 5 to a losing 7.04 with a 4 for Treble. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Well, here is Chip Ellis, who is just looking at the monitor, seeing who he's going to face, and it's going to be Andrew. And I don't know if that was any kind of a surprise, but maybe this fact that 94 you just laid down gives you lane choice. Is that important to you?
I'll tell you, we've been running the right lane all weekend with this Schumacher electric Suzuki, and I'll tell you what, man, Steve Tartaglia, when you watch this dude, I'm going to tell you now in front of all these people, you are the man. Jason Jones, my crew guys, Tom, Matco Tools, Napa. I'm so fired up. I got to say hi to Mackenzie at the house, and we'll see if we can hang with this V-Rod here in the finals. And if I beat him, I'm going to make him pay for my go-kart next time we go go-kart racing.
That sounds like a good bargain.
Oh, you're talking a major bet there now. There's the matchup for the final. Chip will have lane choice over Andrew Hines when they come back to the line. Well, we are going to have history here today, no matter how you look at it. Will they be first or 1,000th? John's going for his 1,000th round win. Ashley for her first big win. All of that is coming up, but don't go away. Oh, it's the time now from Atlanta Dragway. Are we going to see history in a few moments? We've already seen great racing. We think there'll be more. Will it be a woman first time in funny car, John, with his 1,000th? How about Top Fuel? Antron Brown, he's won 2 here in Pro Stock Motorcycle. Tony Schumacher's never won at this track. And then Mike Edwards, never been to a final here. Jason Line, he is on a roll. Pro Stock Motorcycle, Andrew Hines has been consistent in the sixes all weekend. And Chip Ellis, though, is very fast on his Suzuki. Motorcycles are on the line right now. This is the final. Time for money. Time for those beautiful Wallies. And time to see history made.
Great matchup here between Chip Ellis and Andrew Hines. Andrew Hines been consistently in that 6-second range, but Chip Ellis has low ET and top speed of the meet coming into this round.
We just wait to see what Andrew Hines did. Look at 009 off the line, runs a 6.94 with a 6, 191 miles an hour. And Andrew Hines, the former 3-time champ, who has not won a race since Vegas last year, finally puts it in the win column. It's his first at Atlanta.
Andrew Hines did a fantastic job. He said he had to step it up for the final. He knew he did against Chip Ellis. That 009 light was what won him the race.
To the left, right here.
All sixes, all runs for Andrew Hines. Boy, that's good, too. First guy to do that.
Up tight to the bike.
So Andrew Hines takes the win, and Gary Gerald's right there with him.
What an amazing day for Andrew and this team. Every run in the sixes. That's never been done like this. What was the best part about this performance?
Best part is right here, man. These Summit guys and this Wally. My team worked so hard for this. I can't thank Summit enough for putting on this race. This is just amazing. Seems like I do pretty good at these Summit races, you know. I just got to thank my crew, my guys back at the shop in Brownsburg, Indiana, my wife at home, Ryan, my son out in California. You know, we really worked hard. My whole team, my brother, Scott, Ray, Eddie, my dad. Joe back at the shop wasn't able to make it, man. We just had so much fun on this V-Rod the last 3 weeks. We hope we were going to be consistent coming in here, but we did it. You know, this thing's built for tough. It's got 12 runs, and this motor hasn't been out of the frame rails. It's just awesome.
An amazing performance. Congratulations, Andrew.
Thank you.
Yes!
Congratulations to Andrew. Ken Black looks on. KB Racing has been in every final round this season. That's Jason Line in the cockpit now. Only Greg Anderson has won twice this season. He'll be facing that car, Mike Edwards. First final round for these two. Edwards is looking for his first race win in 2 years. Well, Mike Edwards came off the line with a blistering 009, runs a 6:68, 206 miles an hour. Greg Anderson looks on to see what Jason Line did. What he did was he didn't win, he lost.
Well, that's what 0.05 of a second off the starting line looks like. Mike Edwards, that was the advantage he had. I tell you, Mike has just been drilling that tree all year long. Stepped up for the final. The crew loves it. A well-deserved win for that team.
The 14th win of his career, and the first win running his own engine program. Mike Edwards takes the win in Pro Stock. What a season that's been as well. What a day this has been. So many new faces in different places.
Great job. Summit, come in here.
So as
I close the door, you guys bring in.
Pulls the helmet and is ready to climb out. Garrett Gerald's right there.
All the Summit folks are here. The Wally is nearby. The Powerade Pro Stock Winter Championship hat is ready. We just need a driver, and here he comes, Mike Edwards. It's been a couple of years.
Thank you, Jesus.
Did you ever doubt that you'd be able to get this team regrouped and come back and have a moment like this, Mike?
I doubted my ability, but I never doubted God's ability. And I give it all to him. It's all about God. This whole team's all about God. And I just, well, this one's for all those Pinhall employees, customers that came out here, all them Young Life kids that came out here Thursday night. This one's for you right here.
That smile, that tells a lot, doesn't it?
Now we look at it one more time as Mike Edwards comes ripping off the line and beats Jason Line. Well, is it going to be history? It will be one way or the other. John Forrest looking for his 1,000th round win, while his daughter looks to become the first female funny car winner. Well, in the past few minutes, there's been a flurry of activity around Ashley Force's car as we get ready for the finals in Funny Car. A historic moment either way. Mike, what's going on?
Well, I don't know what caused it, but they pulled the spark plugs off it. They pulled the rear fuel lines going in the cylinder heads. The reason they do that, they were concerned about the cylinders being filled up with fuel. If that happens, you turn it over, you could hydraulic it and actually blow the cylinder head right off the block. Don't know what led up to it. Maybe they started it and had to shut it off. But that's what they're going to do. They'll clean out the engine. Oh, they probably did start it because they are adding fuel to it, and maybe because of the sprinkles they made them shut it off. They're just going to make sure there's no fuels in that cylinder because you don't want to take any chances of blowing that cylinder head right off the engine block.
Well, she's going to face her veteran father. He's new. Is this going to affect her approach to it? Has she just got to close her eyes and ignore all of it?
Well, I mean, as a driver, that's what she has to do, whether she can do it or not. She's in a much better position this year. I would say last year this probably could have affected her, but this year, I don't know. She's been pretty well poised. She has been a little bit nervous in the final rounds because the two previous final rounds she was late on interaction time, and she said that she was definitely nervous. But I think she's much calmer now. She doesn't look like she's that too worried about it, and that's what you need to be.
Oh, pretty high blink rate there. Dave Reef is just a few feet away.
You betcha, Paul. Dive back to 1996. John Force brought a guy by the name of Tony Pedregon into this race team, and Tony Pedregon at this racetrack took on John Force, got his first win. Now his daughter's got that opportunity. You've raced John many, many times before. Put yourself in that Castrol GTX car to your immediate right. What's Ashley going through right now with all this hubbub?
You know, she's pretty calm and collected. You know, I don't think it bothers her racing her dad. I raced him here in the final in Atlanta, my first year racing. So, you know what? She's doing a great job. She's been to the last 3 finals and hasn't made any mistakes. So, you know what? She's just going to go out there and make another run and try to kick his butt.
It pretty much was business as usual over here, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're just shutting this thing down. They're spinning it over. Everybody does different things, you know. Coyle shut his down on gas, and that evacuates the cylinders of nitro. So they just want to be safe.
Spot on, Mike.
Listening in on the Force Racing radio.
Any chance of this thing smoking the tires on the starting line, Bernie?
No, I don't think so. I hope not.
Come up. I'm going to gather it up and go.
Yeah, no, it looks, I tell you what, it looks real nice up here. You know, the pump deal, I mean, you know, who knows, but, you know, I'm a little nervous about that, but, you know, hey, you know, a lot of, you know, there were some good runs over here. We might be okay.
Round that thumb bit then.
Talking to the man on the right, Bernie Federle. That's Jimmy Prock beginning to walk away now. So the discussion on the radio back and forth, Bernie Federle and John Force. Let's take you back to last year. It was Ashley and John then.
Yeah, but this was in the first round. It was Ashley and John for the first time. Ashley Force was able to take her dad out in the first round of eliminations.
So what is about to happen? We already know its history. We have seen some great runs today. We know the track is in good shape. The temperatures are comfortable, if not on their way to cool.
Well, and here's the situation. I mean, John Force, he's been in this situation many times. He's a veteran. He knows what to do. For Ashley Force, my advice would be, you got to put it in your head. You can't lose. Either, you know, your dad's going to win the race, or I'm going to go out there and win the race. So that should have a calming effect on her, and she's just be able to focus and do her job.
Let's go to Dave Reef. He's with Mom.
Well, Lori, we talked a little bit ago. What are the nerves like now? And are you still pulling for Ashley?
A little worse now that they started up and shut down. So
You're still for the driver in the right lane?
John has more experience, but I think she wants it maybe a little more.
Now we're about to find out.
The engines are now fired. Ashley Force moves forward. John Force starts his car. You ever had any kind of orthopedic surgery, knee surgery, anything like that? How long did it take you to recover? Well, think about this. It has been 217 days since John Force's horrific accident at Dallas. And here he is in a final against his daughter.
And that is an amazing stat right there. I mean, you pretty much almost forget about the accident. I mean, and I don't know how you can, but John Force has a way of creating this karma, or whatever you want to call it, with his daughter going out there for her third straight final. Now John's going for his 1,000th career round win. It's just amazing and what this man has done.
We keep that radio turned up for you. Austin Coyle there on the left. His final adjustments to John Force's car. John's looking at 1,000 round wins. This is his 500th race. Imagine what she's thinking. She's got love in both lanes.
Yeah, but she's a mom. She wants her little girl to win. I wouldn't expect my wife to be any different either.
Guido Antonelli, he leans over Ashley's car, pounds the hood. They are now both ready to go. John Force is done. History, Ashley Force.
You got it, Ashley. Good job. 483. 483. Good job.
Kid's got bragging rights for it.
Ashley Force becomes the first woman to win in funny car.
Lined up, Bernie.
And you heard before the run, John Force was talking with Bernie Federle, and Federle had a little question about just beyond the starting line. It all is Ashley. Dave Reed.
Lori Force, you've seen your husband win 125 races. It probably became commonplace. What did this win mean to you?
This was the best. You know, I mean, Ashley's been out here, and I know he went to 9 runner-ups, and this took her 4, but this is everything. She's really going to be excited.
Congratulations, one very proud mother.
And as the safety gear comes off, Ashley, I know you've dreamed about this particular moment. Tell us what it's like to realize a lifelong dream.
Well, I'm just glad to be here, that we got down that it's tough to go up and then have so many distractions, which both the both teams were going through, but we made it. They fixed the car. We started it up. We shut it off. We did everything possible in that first few minutes, but we got down the track and and the funny thing is I used to kind of try to think in my head, what would I say if I won? And I always lost in the final. So this time I said, I'm not thinking about it. Now I don't know what I'm supposed to say. But I want to thank Castrol and Ford and AAA and Brand Source, Mach 1, Nordic Boat, all of our great sponsors. Old Spice that have supported us, that have supported my team. We've struggled, but we finally made it to that final. And I had to take Dad out in the process, but he's one of the best. He's one of the best in the business. So to him, I love my dad and my mom, my sisters. I'm going to kill you guys for not being here today. To Eric Medlin, I think he was with me that run because the last run he won was against Dad. So I think he was riding with me today. So I love my team. They're the best. I love my fiance, Danny, and I can't wait to go celebrate with you guys.
You have made history. Congratulations.
Thank you.
10th female winner in the pro classes, 81st driver to win in funny car history, and the first woman. Are we beginning to see the passing of the torch over there at John Force Racing?
Look at John, obviously not getting the win, but he's happy for his daughter. But right now on the starting line, we got the final Top Fuel Eliminator. Antron Brown going up against Tony Schumacher.
Antron Brown, he's looking for his second race win in his Top Fuel career. Schumacher has never won at this track, looking for his third race win of this season.
This is a great matchup between two great drivers and two great cars. And right now we got a great racetrack.
Look at that! Look at that! Antron Brown, 4:53 with a 325 miles an hour, comes ripping out of the hole and takes the win.
Wins it on a hole shot. Great job by Antron. He knows how to, let me tell you, as far as pressure, he had it coming in from the Pro Stock motorcycle. That category's really helped him stay focused in this Top Fuel dragster. You see the run again. He had about 2.5 hundredths of a second off of the starting line advantage over Tony Schumacher. He needed it. We had a racetrack there. A 4:53 beats Tony Schumacher's quicker 4:52. Great job by that Matco team.
Could you ask for a better day in motorsports? Let's go to Dave Reef. He's got Lee Beard.
What a great combination. A great tune-up, an even better job by your driver. 035 on the tree. Oh, my goodness. What's this feel like?
I'll tell you, it's just such a pleasure to have this fantastic driver, Antron, rookie in Top Fuel. I can't say enough about him and our entire Matco, iLocate, Valvoline team, David Powers Motorsports, our whole group, Caterpillar group over there. Their car's running good. You know, it's just a fantastic organization. It's a dream place to work.
One of your most satisfying wins?
Anytime you beat Tony Schumacher and Ellen Johnson, that U.S. Army car, it's satisfying, believe me.
Andrew Hines congratulating Antron Brown, former motorcycle rider, now Top Fuel driver, winner again for a second time, and on a hole shot, Antron.
Hole shot. You know what? This Matco team's unreal. All the Matco distributors, thanks for all the support. iLocate, Toyota, Go Fast is going to take that time. We knew we needed someone that Matco car to get around that Schumacher car. U.S. Army team's no joke. Alan Johnson's awesome. Tony's awesome. But today my crew prevailed. Lee Beard, all the boys, Mike Ripp, and all the rest of the boys, David Powers, Tim Buckley. This is for you guys, and thank you for the opportunity. Good.
Congratulations from Tony Schumacher as we get back to Dave Reef.
Back at the starting line with Dean Guido Antonelli, a man who came to work for John Force, what was it, 1995, starting at the bottom end, and now all of a sudden you're tuning his race cars with his daughter in it, and you got to win. Can you put it into words?
I mean, it's not me. It's a great team effort. We got the best group of guys working all the four cars, but our guys are especially gifted. And Ron Douglas here came over last year, would start this deal with me. And, I mean, he's invaluable, you know, and we all worked so great with Austin and Bernie and John Medlin. You know, the only regret is that Eric's not here.
Still very emotional moments. The pressure that's got to be off of you now, too.
Pardon?
The pressure has to be way less on you now.
Well, I mean, there's still always a pressure of keeping her safe as we want to keep all our drivers and everything, but You know, it's going to make maybe a few more hours of sleep a week, maybe. I'm sure Ron goes through the same deal. But, yeah, we'll go to St. Louis next week and see if we can keep this ball rolling and, you know, get Zippy's car some wins and get him a trophy here at the end, maybe at St. Louis, or if it's not us. So, you know, we're just going to keep beating the drum and see where we stand at the end of the year.
From on high, you know Eric Medlin's smiling down on this guy.
I just want to say happy birthday, Mom. Sorry I missed it yesterday.
And with John Force now at the top end. And John, your emotions, you were on the threshold of another milestone. There have been so many in your career. But as a father, what are your feelings now as you see your daughter in that opposite lane get her first victory?
I would have liked to have had that record 500 and then back it up with the other right behind it. But it's also important in her career because wins, it took me a lot of years to win. And it's good for her that she gets that win and she gets it out of the way. And a little disappointed my car didn't run a little bit better, but we knew we struggled in the bump all weekend long, and whatever. I'm excited. I know should be emotional and upset for him. I'm still trying to figure out, you know, everything. But yes, good for her as a father. I'm very proud of her. She did her job. She didn't do anything stupid on the starting line. You know, go deep, you know, try to hold shot me. She didn't try to do anything. She just did what she always does. And that was most important, but really my focus was in my lane. And I'm just proud of her for a woman to accomplish that. Shirley Muldowney, you know, led the way, but not just for Ashley to win in funny car, but so many other women that are trying to be in this sport. Melanie Troxel fighting every day, and Hillary Wills and Angel, everybody, for women to have a place in this sport. And I think there's just another place in history that can say women are showing their stuff. I think Beat This Old Man are pretty good, even if it is my kid. Proud of her, love her, and I'm okay.
Thanks, John.
I'm happy for her. Thank you. Very happy.
You know what? There's a very class act, though. Well, the whole team's a class act. But you saw John Force stay away from Ashley so that she could celebrate, be interviewed, and enjoy her moment in the sun all by herself.
And that's just John Force for you. He knows how to do the PR side of everything, trust me.
Now there's the father, the hug, and boy, they gave us a great day. And, you know, there are traditions. There's one of them. Little Powerade all over the gal. Give her a little more power. So let's take a look at this. John Force racing history. How many races it took to get to the first win?
Yeah, John took 75 wins, but he struggled early in his career. Didn't have the resources that the rest of his teammates had. Ashley Force took 27, Gary Densham 17, Eric 16, Tony did it in 5, Robert did it in 4, Mike Neff still looking for his first round win.
And you remember when Tim Wilkerson scored his #1 qualifying position, he took the points lead, but then Ashley Force just steadily grabbed it back. And then now, look at her, 59 points ahead of Tim Wilkerson. What do you think?
Well, I think coming up in St. Louis, we're going to look for John Force to go for that 1,000th win. I mean, he looked awfully good this weekend, at least up until the final round. And he definitely has a shot of achieving that at our next race next week in St. Louis. You're not going to want to miss it.
Hats off, too, to the NHRA for doing just a terrific job in getting this track prepared and fighting off the rain showers all day. And what a day it turned out to be. Pro Stock 600th race. John Force going for the 1,000 as he goes into his 500. Uh-oh. People having fun everywhere we win. Don't forget our next NHRA qualifying show where history may be made again. Yes. It comes in 1 week. St. Louis, 9 p.m. Saturday, Eastern Time. NHRA, where you go full throttle or go home.